Have you here inside of these Cafe Kubal studios, and thank you so much for being a part of the show every single Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, where sports truly meets that thing called life. So happy to have you here, happy to be hanging out with you. We have a jam-packed show, an awesome show set up for you today, and I'm ecstatic about all of the conversations we're going to get to have this morning inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. Cafe Kubal on 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 401 South Salina Street, all in Syracuse, New York. And, of course, you can also find them on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at Sweetheart Corners at their drive-thru location. And you can find them in their double-decker cafe on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York. So make sure you head out to any one of their locations today. Let them know the Wake Up Call sent you. And thank you, as always, for supporting local. With that being said, inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin', today's broadcast will feature a bonus episode of AD and DT. You know, every first and third Wednesday of each month, we have AD and DT with Athletics Director Bob Beretta, the AD part of it, and myself, Dan Tortora, DT. So we have those going on for you, and every first and third Wednesday, but this month of August, we have a bonus Wednesday. So we actually have a fifth Wednesday, which means on those odd weeks, we bring you AD and DT. On the even weeks, Dolphin Dive every second and fourth Wednesday. So because we have this extra opportunity, Bob and I got back to it for an extra conversation. And in this conversation today, we're going to be speaking on the start to the season, the strong starts to the season for LeMoyne women's and men's soccer. So I'll be talking about both of the soccer teams and how they've started off strong. And I had the opportunity to spend the last two Dolphin Dives with the coaches of these teams, with interim women's soccer head coach for the LeMoyne Dolphins, Yaro Zavaslan, who right after he got hired, we did the exclusive first interview with Yaro, so right after his hiring, so got to have Yaro on the show, and then right after they took a preseason retreat for a very unique experience that we got to discuss, the men's soccer head coach at LeMoyne had the opportunity to sit down with Tom Bonus. So both of their teams have had strong starts, and we'll be speaking on them both here this morning. We'll also be talking about the students coming back and welcoming the student body back to LeMoyne campus, back on the Heights, and we'll also get into leadership style and, you know, Bob's leadership and how he kind of looks at things and how he leads the charge. So we'll talk about all of that here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life, in just a few minutes here, and very excited to have the opportunity to do that with you. So very much appreciate that, and thankful to Bob for giving us a bonus week here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. You can catch all of our AD and DT all of our AD and DT, the entire library, all of the conversations, by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and clicking subscribe, or going to the LeMoyne tab on wakeupcalldt.com. So never miss another moment of it, either live or after it has been put out there and it's available to you in our library. So make sure you check those out. So Bob will be joining us in just a few moments. And then around 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, I'll be joined by Seamus Shanley. He goes from West Genesee champion to Syracuse football starter on the offensive line to just recently here, a married man. So we'll have Seamus Shanley, who's here in our community, share his thoughts on what it's like to be a married man, and we'll really show you where sports meets life this morning, as we always do. So very excited to have the opportunity to have my friend Seamus Shanley rejoin the broadcast. And then we'll round out Wednesday like we always do with the Fantasy Football Power Hour. Not one of, not a, but the Fantasy Football Power Hour, coming to you between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. Eastern Time, as you and I have a bunch of things to discuss when it comes to fantasy football. We've had almost every single one of our drafts. We have one left. I did my Marywood draft, which I do with fellow Marywood University alumni. We did that draft. We did our draft down at Hooters in our 12th year. Hooters I Drive Orlando. Shout out to them. And we've done multiple drafts at the Wildcat Sports Pub, including one that we just finished up this past Monday. So a lot of great stuff coming up, and we got to talk about it. So we'll be discussing depth charts as we get closer and closer to the season, and out of the preseason. So we'll take a look at the depth charts and where things are right now. Injuries as well as rookies on the rise as we roar toward fantasy football season that's proudly presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub. So that's all coming up in just a little bit, where sports meets life on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora in hour number 2, where we will end this video and start a new video, as we always do for fantasy football. As our fantasy football content, there's so much of it that I want to make sure that you have it at your disposal very easily, so you can reach right out to it. So we'll make sure that we start that new video on YouTube and Facebook, both.com/wakeupcalldt in hour number 2, and get you set and ready to go. With that being said, we're going to take a step aside for a fast break and come back with AD and DT bonus AD and DT this month with Athletics Director of LeMoyne, Bob Beretta, and myself, Dan Tortora, right after this fast break from inside of the Cafe Kubal studios.
Cafe Kubal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafekubal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Kubal needs. Cafe Kubal, coffee for the soul.
This is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge, and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item, available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating. Find them at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and all the time online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, you can order all throughout the country at maandpaspopcorn.com. And remember to get your tins, which have in-store half-price refills forever. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, available to you for fundraising and all of your events by calling 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
Woody Wicks Candles and Gift Shop, Township 5, Camillus, where you will find handcrafted all-natural soy wax candles over 60 cents to freshen up your home. We carry a wide range of locally made items, Syracuse, Syracuse Salt, and Chocolate Pizza Company, to name a few. Let our knowledgeable staff help choose unique gifts and keepsakes for any occasion. Gifts for family and friends, and maybe a little something for yourself. Woody Wicks Candles and Gift Shop, Township 5, Camillus.
To an all-new AD and DT inside of our LeMoyne exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with the Dolphins. And AD and DT, as you know, every first and third Wednesday, you get a bonus one this time around, as we have an extra Wednesday in the great month of August, here on August 31st, as we officially jump off like a dolphin into the waters of the fall. And so with Bob Beretta, the Athletics Director of LeMoyne, myself, Dan Tortora, a.k.a. DT, always welcoming you here. Bob, how are you?
I'm excellent, Dan. How are you today?
Doing very well, and I know that we have something to be very excited about, which is this past week we had an official, believe it or not, doubleheader opening to the men's and women's soccer seasons at home, on site, here at Ted Grant Field at LeMoyne, and victory is abound for these teams. That we have the men's team started off 2-0 and the women's team 1-0-1, so no losses in the first 4 games.
Yeah, it was a great weekend, great doubleheader for us, Dan. As you talked about, we opened up at home last week with a doubleheader. Our women defeated Chestnut Hill 4-3. Great victory. Scored the game-winning goal with 7 minutes to go down in that game, 2-0. Interim head coach Yaro Zavisline doing a fantastic job. And just see the smiles on the faces of those girls was priceless. And then yesterday, a quality tie against Damon, a team that had lost to the national runner-up earlier this week. They lost a 2-1 decision. So we knew that was going to be a tough match for our ladies. They went up to Damon yesterday in a monsoon and came away with a tie. You know, in soccer, there are good ties and bad ties, and that was a good tie for LeMoyne. And on the men's side, Tom Bonus's club has really come out of the gate strongly. At the same day that the women defeated Chestnut Hill 4-3, Coach Bonus's team defeated Caldwell 1-0, and then went on the road and notched another victory on Sunday at Jefferson. So the men's team 2-0, our women's team 1-0-1, and now all quiet on the soccer front until here at Ted Grant Field on Saturday at 1 o'clock.
Yeah, you know, and very excited to see this. We just had Yaro Zavislan a few weeks ago in our Dolphin Dive in the exclusive first interview since he accepted the job as interim head coach for the women's soccer team here at LeMoyne. And then we followed up with Dolphin Dive this past week with Tom Bonus in the very unique preseason week of retreat that he took that had a nice West Point connection and all of that. So it's really amazing to see how Yaro has immediately had a positive effect, and that it really does seem like this time together for the men's team away from everything in their preseason retreat has helped them to start off strong. So two very wonderful situations with an interim head coach who's found success, and you know, then with Tom, who's been here for a long time, who had that nice wrinkle of saying, let's get away, let's get to know each other, and it seems like it's already paid dividends.
Yeah, I give Tom a lot of credit. You know, as coaches, as administrators, we have to evolve, and Tom has been at this a long time and been very successful. Yet here's an opportunity he thought to evolve as a coach, to evolve his program. He brought in a large group of new players, several from overseas, international players, and he thought this was something that he needed to help build the culture of the team. And so far, it looks like it's paying dividends. We had Colonel John Wojcik from West Point, a good friend of mine, and I know you talked about that at length in your dive with Tom, but we felt like that would be a great opportunity to help build team chemistry and rapport and help those teammates fight through tough times together. And so far, 2-0, it's a great start, and we're really excited about the fortunes of both of those programs.
To start off the fall semester with immediate success, just what that does to usher everybody back in, the student body coming back to campus, and immediately here's a doubleheader, and there's a victory for both teams within that, and these teams starting off so strong here. I mean, they're the official openers of this 2022-23 season. So, I mean, to me, it's got to be a nice welcome back for everybody.
Yeah, and we had really strong attendance, Dan, at the home doubleheader, and at that point in time, the only students on campus were our first years. They were here early for orientation, but that day it was 90+ degrees, and we had a very good turnout, extremely good turnout amongst our first year students to come out and support the team. And you know, when you go out and you have fun and you enjoy a victory, and you want to come back, and it's manifests itself. So hopefully those students and many others will come back as well. And it is such a good story on a woman's side, a feel-good story with Coach Yaro and what he came in 2 days, literally took charge of that program 2 days before they started preseason camp.
Yeah.
And a very different style than our previous coaches, extremely well versed in the technical aspect of the game. We haven't had a male coach on the women's side in a while, so you know there's a change in dynamic there. But I think he's done a terrific job. Our young ladies, I give them tremendous amounts of credit for being as resilient, displaying as much grit and tenacity to fight through all this adversity of coaching changes and not knowing who your leader was going to be 2 days before you start practice, falling down in that game 2-0, and they had a very difficult season last year. They won 2 games, and it would have been very easy for them to hang their heads and say, here we go again, we're down 2-0, and lose that game 4-0 or 5-1. Instead, they battled back, they tied at halftime, they go up, they lose the lead, and even then, you know, it's pretty difficult. It's a kick in the stomach a little bit. Yeah. And then they come back and win the game with 7 minutes to go. I had the great good fortune to speak to them after the game on the field, and I told them I was absolutely thrilled with their victory. Yeah. But I was more excited about that character that they displayed and the fact that they weren't going to hang their heads. They didn't feel sorry for themselves, and they battled back. They picked each other up. They lifted each other up as great teammates, and came back and found a way to win.
Yeah, and it's been a great ushering in for everything. And there's other sports that are coming up. There's different activities and opportunities that are coming up for the community as well as the student body. And I'd love for you to share some of those that are coming.
Yeah, pleasure, Dan. We have our only home cross-country event of the year, and that's Saturday. And that's the Dillon Invitational. We host that annually out in the back of the event center. And a great opportunity to come out and root on what is really an outstanding field at the Division II level of schools that will come up and athletes that will compete. So it's fun to go out and cheer them on. Only opportunity that we can do that in the fall, so I invite everyone to come out, beginning at 10 o'clock on Saturday morning. The women's race begins at 10, the men's race at 10:45. And then later in the afternoon at 1 o'clock, the men's soccer team back in action here at Ted Grant Field against Georgian Court. We're excited about having Coach Bonus's team back out on the field and a chance to go 3-0.
Yeah, and a great opportunity this weekend to have some fun and relax for those of you who are having a little staycation for Labor Day weekend. And, give you a little break from the fair, come out to LeMoyne, have some fun, enjoy yourself before, you head out. I went on the hottest day of the fair, the day after I came back from Orlando, and it was 94 this past Monday. And I want to shout out Mom and Pa's Kettle Corner Popcorn Factory. Proud to work with you. That's the reason why I went out. So I went out for the people that I love, but hopefully you're enjoying it. Have you? I know that you obviously worked in New York for a long time, but not in these parts. So do you jump out to the fair and give yourself a little donut burger, a little cotton candy? Are you living in that world?
I haven't yet.
Okay.
And I wanted to last year, and I never made it out. And hopeful to get out before the year is over, but I haven't. I have not experienced the fair. I hear great things about it.
Yeah.
Anytime you see people walking around with turkey legs so the donut burger is new. I've not heard of a donut burger.
They used to have fried bubble gum, and I was taught as a child you're not supposed to eat bubble gum, but they'll fry anything at the fair. They'll fry Oreo. I had a little corner of one Oreo, and they were huge. And I felt this sugar shock.
Yes.
And this was years and years and years ago. And I'm watching people eat full ones, and I'm going, this is like, we're going to the hospital today. And you go to the fair in the morning, you go to the hospital at night. But no, it's definitely unique. Boys to Men came here this week. I didn't get to see him. Very sad about that. But I have had a lot of engagements, as Bob and I have talked about. We literally go somewhere, do stuff, come right back here on it. So came back on Sunday, Monday had an event. So
turned it right on.
Keeps us busy. Now that you're in the mix of things, speaking of something always going on, now that you see the student body come back, the students, the student athletes, everybody's doing their thing. This week there's teams that are taking their pictures and getting ready for all of that and the different promotions that are going to be out there. What does that do for you as an AD when you start to see, because you're here all year long, but when you see that life and energy trickle back in, just what that's like?
Yeah, it's an injection of adrenaline, really, Dan, to be honest. To get out and walk campus earlier this week and have our students back on campus, there's this vibrancy. We get lonely, you're on campus and you're walking across the grounds and you don't see anyone during the months of June and July. And then when you walk across campus in August, now late August and early September, for me, I love it because so many of our student athletes, I've been able to build relationships with. So I'll fist bump them as we walk across campus, ask them how they're doing. Now it's seeing a lot of faces that we haven't seen in a couple of months. We're excited. Many of them are going to be going to be seniors now, and they're excited about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a special vibrancy, excitement, energy on campus when our students are back. It was the same thing at West Point. We'd have graduation, and then there'd be a stillness that was kind of eerie. At West Point, it was a much smaller time frame because you had reception day and the new freshmen that would report around July 1. But on a normal campus, a civilian campus, that long to August is still vacation time. So it was extended here where we were a little bit, lonely for a little longer period of time. But it's excellent to be able to talk to the student athletes, find out how they're spent their summers. I had one in here earlier today talk to me about an internship they had in New York City. A couple baseball players talked about their experiences playing summer ball. It's just it's what we're here to do. It's we get this opportunity, right? We get to have the chance to work with fantastic young people, student athletes at this unbelievable institution, and build relationships. And you're really excited for them when they have great experiences, whether it's here or elsewhere, you want to share in that excitement. And I think that's a big part of why we're here. They want to tell you about what they experienced and what they learned, and you want to listen, and then you want to be excited for them.
And for you as an AD, how important is that for you? Because everybody leads a little bit differently, and you seem to always want to be hands-on. You open your door, you have coaches in the office, student athletes in the office. Just what you could say about your leadership style, and after spending a good amount of time here at LeMoyne as we step into this academic and athletic year, just what it's been like for you leadership-wise and how you would describe yourself as a leader.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. Well, I'd like to think that I'm a servant leader. I mean, that was, people asked me for many years when I was at the academy and when I interviewed for this job, how do you describe your leadership style? And I would say, number one, it's collaborative. I generally don't rule from the tower and make decisions. I want to gain as many opinions as possible, but it's all centered around servant leadership. That's why we're in this industry. We're here to serve our student athletes and serve our coaches, because if we're serving our coaches properly, they're serving their student athletes. So directly or indirectly, it's all about advancing the mission of the institution, but also here to provide that level of service to our student athletes. And that's what it's all about. I mean, that's really why I decided I thought this would be a great fit to come up and build those granular relationships with young people. And that's why I'm in this industry. I love being able to have those interactions, whether it's a 2-minute conversation out in the hallway with a Lexi Grossman, our women's basketball team, online to get photos, or if it's stepping into the basketball gym to talk to some of the men, some of the new players that have transferred into the program that I see working out in the evening in there, and I'll go in and watch them a little bit, and then when they stop, I'll go introduce myself and talk. It's building those relationships, and I don't understand how you could be in this industry and not be here with the primary mission of serving student athletes.
And you brought it up, some of the new faces coming in. What can you say about welcoming the new Finn family members?
Yeah, we started classes this week, excited about that. We have our first all-department, all-student-athlete meeting a week from tonight, and we'll introduce them to the LeMoyne way, our shared culture, and talk to them a little bit about that. So that's really exciting. We had an orientation with our first-year student-athlete parents on campus last week when they were here on move-in day. And Matt Davidson from the Excellence with Integrity Institute, who we're partnered with, came in and provided an overview of what that program looks like. So anytime we have these opportunities to interact with parents and student athletes, that's what we're here to do. We want to over-communicate. We want to let parents know that their children, their sons and daughters, are in really good hands with us here, whether that's something to do with their athletic endeavors or off the courts or off the fields, whether it's academics, and they have to be very comfortable that our number one priority is always going to be their health and safety, their well-being. That's the number one priority of our department, of our institution, and as a department, we're going to align perfectly with the academic mission of this institution. That'll always be our number two priority after the health, safety, and welfare of our young people. Then it's going to be the alignment of our goals as a department with the goals of the institution.
That coming from Athletics Director Bob Beretta, as we welcome you all in here to the LeMoyne community, our alumni, as well as those of you that are returning and those of you coming here for the first time ever. Welcome to the Finn family. That's a PH on both. As you know, AD and DT every first and third Wednesday of each month. You got a bonus one here in August with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora. For all of our content, go to the LeMoyne tab on wakeupcalldt.com. And of course, you're watching here with us on youtube.com and facebook.com/wakeupcalldt. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Don't miss a moment. We have carried the exclusive reclassification and realignment conversations all the way through these many months. You definitely don't want to miss all those conversations with Bob. And of course, our student athletes and our coaches and administration that have really given us some truly incredible stories, all with their own personal touch on each of it. And you don't want to miss Linda Lemura. You go back and watch that one, Dr. Linda Lemura, the leader of LeMoyne College, as she gave me many, we had some laughs, we had some deep conversation, we talked about a lot of different things, and we'll have Linda on very soon as well. So for the leadership of LeMoyne, welcome back, welcome to our community for those of you that are coming here for the first time. And as always, we love to tell you, and you already know, fins up.
Fins up, Dan.
Appreciate it, Bob.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Kubal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafekubal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Kubal needs. Cafe Kubal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios. Happy to be here with you where sports meets that thing called life. You're connecting to Wake Up Call every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on YouTube.com, Facebook.com, and MixLR.com, all / Wake Up Call DT. You can also find us on WakeUpCallDT.com's homepage and on the corner, and you can also get us on WakeUpCallDT.com, like I said, and on Facebook.com / LiveNowDT. Inside of these Cafe Kubal studios with multiple locations around Central and Upstate New York. Always happy to have you here, and I'm very happy here in the next piece of today's broadcast inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. You see that nice married couple photo. I don't know who did these photos, but I know that if and when I ever find a woman normal enough to marry, that I would like somebody to take these pictures for me. So I'm going to bring Seamus on the show. Seamus, how are we doing, man?
Good. How are you, Dan? I appreciate you inviting me back on the show. It's always a good time.
Yeah, man. Happy to be here with you. So I got to ask you, I know I met her, but how did you find a good one in this crazy, insane, I mean, you know off the air what I just went through recently. So, I mean, how did you find a good one in the world that we're in today, man? How did it happen?
Honestly, I really like to think that every good guy deserves a break, but I honestly, to this day, I don't know how I was able to do it. To be honest with you, I think by the grace of God and a little bit of luck on my side.
Yeah, well, you know, you say every good guy deserves a break. I have literally been chased by the devil around the planet. So it's just, I agree with you. Every good guy deserves a break, and hopefully that break comes for all of us. But I've gotten to meet her. She came out to one of the shows that we did. Just an incredible, sweet person. I asked you questions about her that you got horribly wrong, and she still loved you all the way through it. So bring me into just why you think she loves Mr. Shanley.
Oh, I think it's simply because the connection that we have.
Yeah.
I think we understand each other.
Yeah.
And I think we understand that there's different aspects to love, with the many ups and downs that we all, not only Alyssa and I, but as humans, we go through life. And like I said, I think there's a deeper connection than just what was on the outside in regards to what we both have to offer.
Yeah, and all jokes aside, this morning, I like to have some fun with this stuff when we're talking about different things. But Seamus, it's really a special opportunity to celebrate something like this, and you have always been good to me, and always taking some time with me and whatnot. And honestly, I want to have you on the show today because the tagline for Wake Up Call is where sports meets life. And I don't know a better place of sports meeting life than connecting with you through sports and then getting to see these beautiful pictures. I mean, you and Alyssa look genuinely happy. You guys look like you had a great time, had an awesome party, celebrated each other, celebrated life together. I mean, I could not be more happier for a friend. And honestly, from what I see from my viewpoint, is two people that just seemingly know how to love in a world that desperately needs it. And I wanted to spotlight that this morning because I'm happy to see it again.
No, well, like I said, Dan, it truly means a lot, and you're a good friend to all of us, and to have your support truly means the world to not only myself, but to all of us. And like I said, I'm very fortunate to have a partner through life who truly understands me. And don't get me wrong, I drive her nuts at times, especially with my obsession with how sports basically still runs my life to this day in regards to football, and especially with football season coming upon us. But again, she has a true understanding of that, and again, she allows me to simply be me. And I think there's no better compliment that I could get.
Have you transformed Alyssa into at least being open to football, or was she always a football fan, or where does she live in that world?
She was never a football fan before she actually met myself. She's from Waterloo, which is a small town, and they're not big in athletics out there, being a small school. But once we met and we became seriously engaged with each other, she obviously knew my past with being up on the hill, and I basically told her, I go, if you like anyone else or your family likes any other teams, it doesn't matter anymore. You're a Syracuse Orange fan. So she laughed a little bit, and she really she was on board with it. So.
And you just got back, speaking here with Seamus Shanley, a good friend of mine, and West Genesee champ, as well as Syracuse Orange football alum, coming to you on the show for the first time ever as a married man. And, you just got back from vacation, so let everybody know where you went. You spent a little bit of time in paradise. I'd love to know how the trip was.
Oh, it was awesome. We went to Grand St. Lucia for our honeymoon for 8 days, and it was, for both of us, I think the most bittersweet part of it was we're able to put our phones aside and simply enjoy each other's company without worrying about other factors that control one's life, whether it's work or, we have 3 dogs, so our house is always chaotic, and it was just good to be able to enjoy just Alyssa, and Alyssa just to enjoy myself, and like I said, we deserved that for each other more than anything, so it was really bittersweet.
What did you get to do? What was on the trip? Was it kind of just, did you have any plans on the trip? Any things that you had set up to do? Was it kind of just let's just be spontaneous in the moment? Let's just hang out on a beach? What did you get to do on the trip?
So we were able to, we hung out by the ocean, and then they had a little pool area that we hung out by. But we did some excursions. We went, we got a couple's massage, which was really, really nice. We went on like a boat tour of the island itself, which was nice. We did little horseback riding through the ocean, which was unique within itself. And then when we actually left, we took a helicopter back to the airport, which was honestly probably one of our favorite parts, which was just to see the island itself.
Yeah. Have you ever been in a helicopter or no?
I have not. So, I mean, me personally, I wasn't. I'm kind of someone that, you know what, it is what it is. If you're down for doing it, I'm down for doing it. You know, yeah. I'm not one that, I guess you could say would be scared of something like that, just because it's an opportunity, especially on an island of that nature. So.
Yeah, you know, and say, like you said, you know, kind of being up for anything. Is Alyssa also spontaneous? Is she like, hey, I've never done this before, let's do it? Are you both kind of living in that world? And who is more of a planner, you or her?
She's more of a planner. I kind of just go with the flow, per se. But no, I think that's one of many things that we have in common. Is she's kind of the same way in regards to, hey, if you want to do this, let's do it, you know? And we both have the mindset that we don't really get to, there's not many opportunities for us to take a helicopter ride back in the States and be able to see the beautiful sights, especially being on an island of that nature, like I said.
Yeah, you know, and I got to ask you about this, Seamus, because it's crazy to me. Amari Palmer, a.k.a. Odyssey Jones, he was at your wedding, then he came and did my first broadcast at Hooters Week live for my drive, and he had an interesting situation of getting home. What did he tell you, speaking of flying and planes and helicopters, what did Amari tell you about his quest to get back to Orlando?
Yeah, he said his flight. So I found out through my parents. Amari's obviously family to us with everything Amari and I have gone through personally, both on the field together and being roommates and becoming very close over the years. So I found out through my parents, and then once I reached out to Amari, he was just, you know how Amari is, just very laid back. He was like, you know what it is, but it's not ideal. It's not an ideal situation to be in.
Yeah, he had an issue. I said, where'd you stay? And he's like, I stay with the Shanleys. I'm like, I figured you would, you know?
Yeah, no, Amari's one of many people that if he called any of myself or any of my family members at any time of the night, we would drop everything we were doing and make sure that he's safe and sound.
Yeah, you know, and I saw the picture and I thought it was really awesome capturing of the moment. You had Amari Palmer, Julian Wiggum, Kyle Knapp, and you all just laughing and being there together. What can you say about those relationships that you formed at Syracuse and why it was so important to have Kyle and Amari and Julian there on your special day?
Well, and I mean, there's so many factors and reasons as to what I can get into, but more importantly, they're all great people. They're the people that we should want in society, people that are going to be great husbands, great siblings, great fathers. Obviously, they're all fantastic football players. They're in their time up at SU with myself, but more importantly, they're just good people, and they have so much to offer the world that we live in, and they're good role models for the upcoming generation. And there's no other group of people that I was able to take the field with that I would want by my side on my special day.
Seamus Shanley here with us on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios. When I say Seamus, West Jenny champ to Syracuse football starter to married man, just
yeah. To be honest with you, Dan, I would say many years ago I would have never guessed that would be the my so-called journey. But like I said, I'm very blessed, and there's a lot of ups and downs, a lot of hiccups in between. But that's just how life is. It's how you take those lumps and you keep moving forward.
Yeah, and Seamus, listen, and like you said, there's a bunch of, bumps in between and how you take those. What would be your advice to people that are trying to make a team, trying to get this job, trying to chase their dreams, went through a breakup, trying to find the right person, trying to figure out where to live? There's so many things we talk about here on the show, and people go through different pains all the time. I've been through them, you've been through them. What would be your advice to people out there right now going, I'm trying to be a champion, haven't got there. I'm trying to start on this team, haven't made it. I'm trying to find that right person for me, not even coming close. I mean, what would be your advice to the people out there saying, Seamus, it looks like you got it all together, and people always see the positives and they see the end result. But what would you say to them about the journey and if they're going through it right now?
Well, I mean, first off, we're all human, there's still everyday struggles that I personally go through. I mean, I'm fortunate enough to have Alyssa now and a very strong supporting cast that's always in my corner. But in regards to my journey personally, I would just say the number one thing was just myself that I did rather is I just stayed the course, knowing that there are going to be a lot of bumps down that path, but as long as you stay the course, and I had that never give up mentality, because what I was doing was, in my mindset was it was a lot bigger than just myself, coming from Camillus and a small town where not a lot of people get to play Division I sports of any nature. And I was not only representing myself, but I was always representing my family and the community itself. And like I said to you prior in previous shows, like my old man had a huge impact on me. He always used to tell me that there's a difference between doing things the right way and the Shanley way, and I took that to heart. And I'm very fortunate to be in the place I am today.
Yeah, and you have that great support system, and you have that wonderful love from your family, Seamus. I mean, it's where sports meets life. We're going to talk about Syracuse football and this being game week in just a second. But, for you, this, like you said, this is a road with bumps and different ways to get to where you are and whatnot. What have you learned about yourself the most as you've gone through these moments? And, yeah, you're a West Genny champ, but there were losses. Yeah, you started on Syracuse's offensive line, but there was a tough road to get there. And, yeah, you have Alyssa now, but, there were times where you didn't have her growing up. So what can you say about what you've learned about the road to where you are currently?
I would just, I don't like being, me personally, I don't like being told I can't do something.
Yeah.
When someone doubts me, it kind of adds fuel to the fire. And I've always, I guess I could say I've always had the never give up mentality towards myself. But when people doubt me and I wasn't supposed to start up at SU and I was able to fulfill that dream, like I said, I wasn't supposed to make it this far. I mean, I like to keep my upbringing close to my heart.
Yeah.
Because if anything, I would like to inspire kids that are going through something similar to never give up. But like I said, I would just say about myself is that I persevered with my journey. I understood the face value of it, but I never gave up. And like I said, I was able to accomplish what I wanted to accomplish with the supporting cast that I had.
Mental toughness is something they always teach you on the field, but it's something I think you need in life in general. How do you stay mentally tough?
Yeah, you always stay ready for the moment. That's just, and that's what, I know we're going to get into football in a couple minutes, but I think that was the best part about my journey up at SU was obviously the X's and O's of playing Syracuse football and be able to live out that dream. But the characteristics and the qualities that journey up on the hill has taught me has led to my everyday life. And I have that mentality now that I'm always going to stay ready for the moment.
Yeah, and they say that all the time, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. And we are ready for football season, believe it or not. We are here. I can't believe that it's here, but it is. And over a month ago, and this is how fast time flies sometimes, over a month ago I made the comment of, I can't believe I'm down here for ACC kickoff. And that was July 20th and 21st. And then now we're sitting here and it's August 31st. It was over a month ago. And the beginning of the college football season already happened. During Hooters Week Live for my drive down in Orlando, Florida, we brought you to the doorstep of it. We had broadcasts with Amari Palmer and Aaron Hackett, as well as Nate Trout, all Syracuse alum, and Jason Lucas joining me as well. And we got to the 26th, which was that Friday, brought you right to the doorstep. The first games were last Saturday, August 27th. And here we go for Syracuse Week 1. Can't believe it's a game week up on the hill. So, Seamus, first and foremost, do you try to go up to every home game? And I'd love to start there. I mean, it's the JMA Wireless Dome. It's not the Carrier Dome anymore. So is that weird for you to say, number one? And are we going to see you up there on Saturday?
So with my work schedule and, like I said, just life itself, I do try to get up to as many games as I can possibly. But regardless, if I'm there in person, I always have it up on my phone. And like we've touched upon prior, Dan, that your alumni is what starts the fan base of any program.
Yeah.
So I take that to heart. And again, the way I look at it is I might not know any of the players on the team personally now, but they're part of a brotherhood that they might not see the value of it now, but when their time is done up there and they go about their lives, they'll see it. They'll see the value of the so-called brotherhood. And again, I think I'm going to try to. I really do want to try to make a lot more games this year, especially when some of the old teammates come to town. And I would like to bring a list of more games up there and something that we can enjoy ourselves. And because again, that's something that I'm very, very proud of in regards to my journey in life thus far.
And you spoke about the fact that you told Alyssa, hey, no matter what your prior allegiances are, you're a Syracuse fan now. Have her and her family truly become Orange fans? Is it clear now?
I think her family is more of a support system for myself.
Okay.
Knowing that, hey, that's where I came from and was a big part of who I am today. I think Alyssa knows that, say if for whatever reason we were unable to make the game in person, if I put it on TV, she knows that it's game day, it's game time. So everything else can be put on hold, and I'm glued to that TV, and it's go time.
So Seamus, we're in week 1 officially here. And we have the opportunity to see Syracuse play this Saturday, September 3rd at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. They're going to have a nighttime game for their first game of the season, and it's a conference game, and it's a divisional game inside of the ACC's Atlantic Division against the Louisville Cardinals. Typically, Syracuse does not have great times on the field against Louisville in the ACC. A lot of times, more than most, that they're on the road against Louisville, they struggle very much so. Now Louisville's coming to the Dome. They have running quarterback Malik Cunningham and company. Their coach may be on the hot seat. Syracuse's coach may be on the hot seat. And this is a game that could be right in the heart of the season, in the middle of the season, but it's happening in week 1. What are your thoughts about Syracuse's first week matchup going up against Louisville in the division?
If this game doesn't get you fired up, I don't know what will. Your 8 o'clock home opener, your first game of the year against Louisville, who's a rival of ours. I remember my freshman year, we played Louisville a nighttime Friday game. It's when Teddy Bridgewater was there, and they were number 9 in the country. We ended up beating them in the Dome in front of our home crowd. And
Yeah.
I just remember that was probably the most electrifying game that I was on the team for, in regards to the crowd being into it. And again, it's a slugfest every single time between Syracuse and Louisville. You take that to heart.
Yeah, and like you said, you consider them a rival. Why do you consider them a rival? Is it just being in the division for so many years?
Well, I think it was more or less that Syracuse has had a history of playing them every year for I don't know the exact amount of years, but they came from the Big East with us, and now they're in the ACC. It's kind of like the big brother, little brother system, and we just, every time we face them, we know that it's going to be a battle, because we play that similar styles. We play smash mouth football, and it's my guys versus your guys, and let's go.
Yeah, and seeing that and having that, like you said, playing for so many years up against each other, if you don't get up for this one, what are you going to get up for? What do you want to say to fans this year? It's Dino's 7th year. We've seen 4-8, 4-8, 10-3, 5-7, 1-10, and 5-7. Fans want to go to a bowl game. Fans want to get on the winning side of things. There's another offensive coordinator. There's another special teams coordinator now. Defensive coordinator Tony White seems to have figured out some good things on the hill for Syracuse. What would you say to fans right now?
Just like I said before, stay the course. I know. I listen. I understand ups and downs of being a Syracuse fan in regards to any of their athletic programs, but as players, we do hear your voice. As much as it might not seem like it, we do. And when we can run out of that tunnel and see that the Dome's packed for an 8:00 game against Louisville, that means that gives us that extra energy and motivation that, hey, we're in this together as a community, and we don't want to let our fans down, yet alone ourselves. And again, I think they're going to go down the right path, hopefully. But I could tell you that the community support means way more to the team itself than any of these fans can be told.
And, I love the fact, Seamus, that you said that, that you hear them. Because I've had many players tell me that in the past, that when they're quiet, they're quiet. When they're loud, they're loud. So, to that fan base and to that experience in the Dome, we've seen fans stick it out. We've seen fans leave in the third quarter. You guys feel that. You guys see that. Does it affect you on the field? When you saw people walk out, I remember Doug Marrone said in one of the games, fans started leaving in the third quarter, and he said to everybody that left, midway through the third quarter, at the end of the third quarter, he said, you missed a hell of a game because Syracuse came back. What would you say to the fan base? Does it affect you? Do you feel it? Do you on the fields, look up and see, oh, people left, or oh, people stayed, or oh, they came back? I mean, did you notice things like that?
When I was an underclassman, more than anything, I definitely noticed who was staying, who was going. I mean, when you're on the field in the moment, you have so many different factors that are going into it that your focus is within the game. But I will say that with the Dome being loud or the Dome being quiet, you definitely notice that. Because like I said, unfortunately, with us, and I say us as alum and current players, with Syracuse having up and down season as of late, you don't see the consistency of fans coming out to the games and packing the Dome, which is a huge advantage for us. Which hopefully, again, we can turn that around. But you definitely notice it. You try not to pay attention to it, especially being in the game and in the moment. But for me personally, I was born and raised in the area, so I remember going there as a kid, and every single game would be packed. And now it's not as consistent. So I definitely think that that's something that needs to change. The way it's kind of like we always used to say is, like, if you want to ride with us through the ups and downs. And More so, we need the fan base to support us. Like I said, when we're down more so than when we're doing well.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense, and I agree with it wholeheartedly. I mean, I've publicly told fans, if you leave during the game, don't come. So, I mean, it's, I don't want to see those people walk away and walk out on, because I care about you guys, and you know that. And so, and I know that guys see it because they tell me that they see it. And I always tell people, if you want to get good recruits, they're not leaving Notre Dame games. They're not leaving Penn State games. They're not leaving Florida games. They're not leaving Texas games. They're not leaving USC games. So, you got to stick it out. And with all due respect, Syracuse traffic is really not that bad. So, where are you rushing to get to? So that's...
Yeah, and that's the thing too, Dan, is like being in this area, you see so many fans of different college ball clubs, and I know it's Syracuse, and you have people have their favorite teams, and it's like a centralized area, but you don't see that when you're going the Alabamas, the Georgias. When you're in the state of Georgia, you're a dog. That's just who your identity is, and I think that's what we need to have, especially being a smaller community. Yeah. Up here, we need to instill that mindset into our fans and the community as a whole, including the alum. Yeah. I know, like we've touched upon, that Coach Babers hasn't really fulfilled that side of things with the alumni base, but at the end of the day, we're here for the players. That's who we are, because we had the alum that we looked up to when I was up there, when my generation of football players were up on the hill, and it's time for us to start being those role models and getting the community together, because there's no way that you should have someone living in Syracuse, New York, being a Florida State fan. To me, that's unacceptable. If you're from upstate New York, and you're especially from the Syracuse area, being a Syracuse Orange fan should be your identity.
Yeah, and I agree with you. And I just met a guy down at Hooters Week Live for my drive. One of the gentlemen, shout out to Orlando, who works at Hooters Orlando, ironically. And him and I were talking, and he's from the Bronx. And he said, "Listen, Dan," he's like, "Syracuse is my team." Like from the Bronx, he's a Giants fan. Yankee, all that stuff. But he from the Bronx, Giants, Yankees, and Syracuse. He loves Syracuse. And, it's like, you're from the Bronx. People in Brooklyn. There's people in Queens. There's people in Manhattan and whatnot. And there's people right here. And you said it, We got Notre Dame fans here. We got Florida State fans here. We have, fans of the Florida Gators. We have fans of Ohio State. But this is Syracuse, and you got to show up. And I put it to you like this. I mean, Notre Dame and Penn State, they have 100,000 seats. Florida State has 90,000 seats. The Dome has 49, 50,000. They're going to lose some seats with the way they're doing the new seating and all that. So it's like, to fill up the Dome, it's half of what you would anticipate another, fan base to have to do. But I mean, when you're in Memphis and you see the Liberty Bowl fill, or you're in Cincinnati, which is a crazy experience at Nippert Stadium, and I can understand why Luke Fickell and the crew stay there, because I love that experience. I remember being at Nippert Stadium this past season. I went to the AAC championship between Cincinnati and Houston, and I was down there because Cincinnati deserved to be in the college football playoff, and I wanted to chronicle that because I've covered Cincinnati for almost a decade. And they had this thing with the band where they went around the whole outer part, and they chanted and they played, and everybody knew the song, and they stood on both sides, and they gave the band room, and the band came by 2 by 2, and they're singing with the band. Then the band files in. Then during the game, the band had moments where they got up and did the song again, and everybody got up and moved, and the whole place was electrifying. And I'm sitting here going, Syracuse doesn't have any of this. They don't have, and then you look at how many fans, and it's 40,000 plus, and I'm like, okay, so if they could fill Nippert Stadium in Cincinnati here, why can't you, fill in Syracuse. And the thing about what people say, well, Dan, there's more people in these other cities. Yeah, but there's more things to do. In Cincinnati, you got the Cincinnati Reds, you got the Bengals. In Syracuse, you don't have any pro teams, so you don't have an excuse to go, well, I'm going to go to the NFL game, I'm going to go to the MLB game. When Syracuse football is playing, you're either at the game or you're not at the game.
No, and absolutely. And like I was fortunate enough to go to Cincinnati my freshman year, so I know exactly what you're talking about in regards to the atmosphere there. And but to touch base on the New York City aspect in regards to the fan base, I think we owe a lot of that to Marone. I think when Marone first got here, with how the program was at first in regards to coming back, basically being the bottom team of the conference for so long, I think he saw for what it was worth in regards to Syracuse as a whole. And he's like, we got to take care of our own people within state. We have to start recruiting downstate. We have to start from the bottom up. And what better way to do that than in the biggest city in the world, in New York City. And that's why you had so many good recruits, let alone pro athletes that ended up playing the majority of their careers either down in New York City, that came from up here, or you have the Ivan Foys, the Brandon Reddishes, the Robert Welsh, like all from downstate. And that's, like I said, there's no better way to build up a program and a fan base than to start from within and expanding out.
Yeah, they call it the 5-hour radius, and coaches tell me all the time, if you don't recruit your 5-hour radius from your backyard out 5 hours, you're doing it wrong. And that's exactly what they've said has been a big issue with Syracuse not having success recently here, is the fact that they're not recruiting locally and they're not focusing on a 5-hour radius. So hopefully that changes and hopefully some good things come about. Before I let you go, speaking here with Seamus Shanley, West Jenny champ to Syracuse football starter to now a married man, I have to ask you about something that Amari Palmer brought up to me. Why do they call Rochester Little Miami?
See, honestly, I'm not exactly sure. I know a lot of the boys the night before my wedding, they wanted to go out, especially with this being the first time we've seen each other in so long. Being from different parts of the country, I know they wanted to go out and explore the city itself. And luckily, one of my high school best friends, he went to college up in the area. Yeah. So he knew the area pretty well, and he still had some buddies from college up there. And I'm almost certain that someone went up to Amari and told him that the city life here is like Little Miami, and you know how Amari is. He's like, yeah, then turned his head and started dying laughing.
Well, that's the thing. He said that to me, and it was like as soon as we got on the broadcast down in Orlando, he said, bro, I was like, how was it up north? I was like, I said, I literally came down to Florida like the day you went up to Syracuse, like our planes crossed each other. And he was like, bro, I was in Little Miami. Like I was enjoying myself. And I said, there is nothing. I said, listen, I love Rochester. I got to film a movie in Rochester and be a part of a major motion picture down there. But I can tell you with all due respect, where the beach at? You know what I mean? It's, Little Miami, that's interesting, and I don't understand the connotation by any stretch of the imagination in a big way, but I can honestly tell you that I think Amari's going to carry that for the rest of his life.
Oh, 100%. And respect to those people saying that to Amari. You're from Rochester, New York, or Syracuse, New York. You got to advertise your hometown, and I get that aspect, but from Maury being from Long Island and now living down in Florida, it was quite comical to hear that. And I told him, Maury, I go, well, then someone's got to walk around with a jukebox and start playing your entrance, sound the alarm. I go, yo, with Odyssey Jones.
Yeah, man. And Odyssey doing his thing and hopefully rocking back in very soon. Seamus Shanley here with me. Seamus, you're always good about answering my questions. I know we spent a lot of time today talking about where sports meets life and you know, like I said before, all jokes aside, to, you know, see the beauty of life and to see this. And I got to tell you this, and I would say this to your face, obviously, and I don't mind saying it to the world. You know, I know everybody has ups and downs. Nobody's perfect, and I know you got to work through everything. And in a relationship, it takes two people to find ways to work together. I just want you and Alyssa to know that through my eyes and my viewfinder, you have given me hope. So I want to thank you for that.
Well, and like I said, like we've talked about on the side, Dan, it truly means a lot to have someone like yourself in our corner. Regardless if you see it or not, people like yourself have a true impact on our relationship and who we are and our so-called identity. So we can't thank you enough for that. And in regards to you personally, I want you to understand that good things happen to good people. And like we've talked about numerous times on the show, stay the course, and it will all make sense when it does happen. And whoever that lady is, she'll be a lucky one.
Well, thank you, brother. I can't thank you enough for that, and I appreciate those words more than anything. Really, I do. I'll have to go back and make sure I listen to this a few times. So, Seamus, you've been great about answering, like I said, my questions. We play rapid fire. I'm not going to put you on the hot seat. I'm going to let you put me on the hot seat, and you can ask me any 3 questions whenever you're ready.
All right. Trying to think, just because we've got to know each other so well over the years.
Yeah, I do want to let you know that one of my longtime listeners and followers, Greg, he said Rochester is always going to be Little Miami going forward to me, and I said back to him, "Me too, bro. I'm gonna make Little Miami shirts with like the star on the Rochester and the New York, and I'm gonna wear those shirts. I'm ready for it."
That's awesome. That's awesome. But yeah, no, let me think. What's your favorite place that you've traveled to for a game?
Oh man, that's a good question. I would say it's there's one place I love going to, but I don't like the Uber situation when you leave. So I'm not going to say that. I would say my favorite place I've gone to, it's one of 2 places, and in a way I've kind of like become like a secondary. Syracuse will always be my baby. That's my home. That's my hometown. That's my team. And behind that, Cincinnati and UCF, because I've defended them for so long. I would say I love Nippert Stadium. I have a video on my phone still of the band doing that chant because it got me like, it was like something I wanted to put as my ringtone. Because it was just like this, like, oh, bang. And like, and just the way they did it, it was just like awesome. So I love that. And I love the bounce house at UCF. Like when people tell you, like when you're going to get on a ride at Disney and they tell you, you know, please don't ride this ride if you're prone to motion sickness. I have to tell you they should put a disclaimer at UCF. Please don't come into the press box if you're prone to motion sickness. Because when the fans rock, that thing moves like a simulator and the entire press box moves forward and backward while you're sitting there and you can see it moving.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, hopefully we can get the Loud House to be like that soon enough.
Yes, sir. So I would say those 2. What's your next one?
Speaking, what do you like covering more, at the NFL or college? Or does it all depend on the time of year?
You know, I would say that's a really tough question because I feel like I cover the NFL in my sleep. But yep. I've learned so much about the college side of things. I'll put it to you like this. I've evolved into a fan that wants to sit on Saturday and watch as many college football games as humanly possible. And I'll watch Ohio State, I'll watch Michigan, I'll watch Florida, I'll watch Florida State, I'll watch Cincinnati, I'll watch UCF, all the American. Really, I like watching. Obviously, I'm watching Syracuse. I'll watch some of the games on the West Coast. I like watching the Smurf turf with Boise State. So I would tell you that I really love them both. And this is my 12th year of covering the Jaguars on site, on location in some respect. And I don't think anything every time I go to the Jacksonville Stadium, I want to cry because I had never been to an NFL game before, and Jacksonville's been my favorite team since they came out in 1995. So I was 10 years old. Can't believe that. That was a long time ago. And so I became a fan all the way back then, and from day one, from when the logo came out. And I got to tell you, Seamus, like the really cool story that I don't think everybody knows is that when I first went to my first NFL game, it was not your typical. It wasn't like, oh, I went to a game with my dad, or I went to a game as a fan. My first NFL game, I was credentialed, went to the press box, free parking, free food, and got to interview the players on my favorite team. The first NFL game I ever went to was a game that I covered, and it was my favorite team. So I got to actually tell people the first time I ever walked into an NFL stadium to cover an NFL game, I was a member of the media. So I was doing what I love with the team I love in this like very unique experience in life. And every time I step onto the field, every time I go back to TIAA Bank Field in Jacksonville, I tell everybody, this is my 12th year covering the Jaguars because I'm so proud and I'm so happy. And like I get teary-eyed thinking about it because it's like so many people were like, that little kid isn't going to make it. That kid doesn't have anything. He doesn't have it in him. He's not going to start his own business. He's not real. He's not this. He's not good enough. And when I walk onto that field at TIAA Bank Field and I'm standing there, I'm just like, my grandfathers, my grandmothers, my parents were right. I was right. God was right. And the rest of the world was wrong. And I love that.
And you stayed, like we said, you stayed the course. All you got to do is believe in yourself, and look how everyone has their own personal journey. And like I said, we're all proud of you, and we've seen how far you've came, especially from the time I was up at SU playing to now. So you should be proud of yourself, and that's an awesome experience that you can hold close to your heart for the rest of your life.
Yeah, man, I'm very proud. Year number 12, it's the longest credential I've ever held, and I love it. I love it to pieces, and I get to see my two teams play up against each other because my second team is Dallas, so I get to see Dallas play in Jacksonville the week before, literally a week before Christmas, which I can't wait for.
Awesome.
Yeah, and that's my Super Bowl, and I've never seen that. So the fact that I get to watch it, I've watched the preseason games and stuff, but to actually be on site and see that, and have Dak in the building, and Zeke, and Tony Pollard, who I covered at Memphis, and all that. I'm just really super stoked about it. CeeDee Lamb and whatnot. What's your last one for me?
So this will be an interesting one. So if football never existed, what would be the sport that you would want to cover the most?
If football never existed, what sport would I cover the most? It would probably, you know what? I played basketball my whole life, and I still play basketball when I want to shut my brain off. It's a place, honestly, I can go on a court and think about nothing. I don't think about what I'm mad about. I don't think about what I'm sad about. I don't think about anything that's bugging me. If I want to shut my brain off and get back to treating myself with respect and being good and being happy, and all that, I could go to a court, dribble a basketball for 4 or 5 hours, not even think about it. Doesn't matter how hot it is. It doesn't matter how cold it is. I played in the sleet. I played in the ice. I played in the rain. I played in the sun. I played when it was probably 12 degrees outside. I played when it was 90 degrees outside. I played until I couldn't breathe. I mean, I love that game, and I will always appreciate what the game gave to me. And yeah, I wanted to be D1, and I want to play at Syracuse. I want to go to the NBA and play for the Raptors. And, I'm proud of what I did growing up, and I'm proud of the player that I am. And I always love it when somebody's like, somebody will look at me and they'll go, "You can hit a half-court shot, Dan," and then I'll smirk and then be like, "Oh, they have no idea." So, I mean, I can literally shoot from anywhere. And I can honestly tell you, if you give me 5 half-court shots, they're going to be pretty damn close if one of them doesn't go in out of the 5. And so, and I have proof of video. I went to 2 different gyms in 2 different parts of Central New York. I was in Cicero, or I was in Clay. I was in Clay for the first one, and I was downtown in Syracuse for the second one, and I had a witness of me shooting my first half-court shot in that gym that day, and it went straight through. So, so I can honestly tell you that I love basketball. I need to involve it more. I need to, put, a bunch of people together to kind of just play it, because I really miss playing it, but I love the sport so much, and it's one of my go-to places. If I put music on and I'm on a basketball court, it's like my perfect scenario of me just not even feeling like I'm on the planet at that moment.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's me with hockey. That's me with hockey.
Yeah, and you're a Rangers fan, right?
Oh yeah, diehard Rangers fan. I as well as Syracuse football and Syracuse athletics. It's the one thing I told Alyssa. I go, you better be a Rangers fan, or this is not going to work out.
And I saw that. I saw that you converted her into the Rangers. I did see that's out there. Has she now, with the respect of you making her a Syracuse fan and a Rangers fan, has she gotten you, because all is fair in this beautiful, life that we live, and when you're in a relationship, if you get her to give a little, you got to give a little. So what has she made you a fan of that you weren't a fan of before?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is just animals. I wouldn't say I wasn't a dog fan prior to meeting her, but now I'm I can honestly say I'm just as obsessed with our dogs as she is.
Okay.
I just might not show it as much.
Yeah.
But I would definitely say that's the first thing that comes to mind is just dog. I'm definitely a dog person now.
See, that's good, because if you said Real Housewives, I would have dropped the call. So, I it's funny because a long time ago I dated somebody, and she was a Real Housewives fanatic and keeping up with the Kardashians, and it was I was like a living nightmare that I was in, because I would go to sleep with the Kardashian or with the Real Housewives on, and I'd wake up to the Kardashians, and I used to get heart palpitations because watching these women fight for 45 minutes and trying to fall asleep would drive me nuts. And so nowadays when I'm dating, or if I'm talking to anybody, I talked to somebody within the last little bit here, and she said to me, she goes, "Oh my God, I love Real Housewives, I love the Kardashians," and I was like, "This is not gonna work out."
Yeah, no, that's deja vu.
I was like, if I got to be really real with you, there's certain things I can't handle. If you are a Real Housewives fan, because people that tell you I'm not a dramatic person, I just like to watch it. No, if you like to watch the train on fire, then you're part of the train on fire.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
They're like, well, what about suspense and drama? I was like, I get suspense and drama. I watch football games every Saturday and Sunday and Thursdays and Mondays, and there's plenty of drama, and there's plenty of oh my gosh, is my heart going to stop in this moment? But it's not a bunch of rich women screaming at each other about the fact that nobody bought their child a gift 7 years ago. So so I can live with that. So I can tell you, Seamus, if you ever create a dating profile for me, put at the top, must love dogs, must not love Real Housewives and the Kardashians.
Absolutely. I think Amari and I can cook something up for you.
Yeah, make it happen, man. So with that being said, Seamus, I never know how to say see you later because I love talking to you, but I owe you a phone call because we've done some on-site stuff and I got some ideas this season that I'd like to have you be a part of.
No, absolutely. And you have my number, Dan. And like I said, as always, I appreciate you having me on the show. And it means it goes beyond measures of our friendship. And you got my number. And if you ever need anything, brother, just reach out.
Well, I appreciate that. And the words that you said to me today, I'm gonna take with me because I needed them more than I can tell you.
No, absolutely. And like I said, reach out if you ever need anything. You're the way I look at it, man, you've taken care of us for so many years. It's time for us to return the favor, and the way I look at it, you're part of the brotherhood as well. So,
well, thank you for that, and I appreciate that. So, anytime y'all want to play football, I can run and I'm scrappy. Don't let anybody fall on me, Seamus. don't let anybody. You got to pancake some people for me.
Yeah, that goes. I got one good one left in me, and then my body's about to break as well.
Okay. Well, make sure that last good pancake you got is when I'm behind you running the ball. So.
Absolutely.
All right, brother. Well, listen, take care of yourself. Say hi to Alyssa and to the family, and I'll be giving you a call this week.
Sounds good, brother.
All right, man. Take care.
Take care.
See you. That coming from Seamus Shanley. Man, I got chills right now. I don't know if I want to cry, if I want to be like, yes. You spend so much, for me, I spend so much of my life wanting to affect people in a positive way, right? You want to help people. And when somebody turns around, I didn't expect any of that from Seamus. And not because Seamus isn't a good guy, and not because we don't have a good friendship. It's, I focus on what can I do for somebody else. And so when somebody else is like, hey, you've taken care of us long enough, it's time for us to take care of you. Well, I need it, man. So I appreciate it. And, yeah. And at the same time, whatever I need is a minuscule speck of nothing to some of my friends out there that are fighting some real battles. I love you, Jimmer. And, God, I hope you live forever. So, I mean, it's just, I want you to know, when you watch the show, when you listen to the show, people that have, this already, you should. And if you're listening, you're watching for the first time, this show is here for all of us. This is not like, hey, I get to talk for 2 hours, yay me. This show is here for every single one of us. This show is about love. It's about faith. It's about God. It's about positivity. It's about goodness. It's about equality. It's about welcoming everyone in the community, people that don't agree with me, people that live a different lifestyle. It's about us. You know what I mean? It's about us. Whenever I think about the U.S., I always say it's about us, because United States, us, U.S. And I say, what if we lived that way? If we treated it like it was about us, the country would be so much better, because it should be about us, all of us. And, I mean, I don't know what to say other than the fact that I needed those words from Seamus today. And I'm humble and honest enough to say it. I can't say I didn't need them. I did need them. And sometimes we need those words, right? Sometimes our heart is hurting and we just need somebody to just be like, hey, dude, you're not by yourself. You're not. And we all go through it. I wish no bad on anybody. We all have moments where we say things, but I genuinely wish no bad on anybody. I don't wish bad on anybody that's ever done bad to me. I don't wish bad on people that did some horrible things. And, I don't, because there's no benefit to seeing somebody suffer. Well, if they made me suffer, then they suffer. No, there's nothing good about watching somebody suffer. Ever. There's nothing good about it. And I don't recommend anybody wanting anything for anybody else other than happiness. And I know how hard that is. I know how hard that is to say, but you have to only put good in the world. Only put good in the world, or else you can't complain when bad things happen. Because if you put bad in the world and it eventually comes back to you, you put some of it in there, right? And think of the world like a funnel. Whatever you're putting into it, whatever squeaks out of it, if you put more bad than good in the funnel, you got a better chance. If you have the balls, for the lottery, if more of those balls, let's say the balls that were red are bad, red flags, and the green ones were green flags, right? Good things. If you put more red than green in there, yeah, you could get a green, but you got a better probability of getting a red, and vice versa. So, I think we all have our moments, but, I want God to know, in 36 plus years of my life, I've never genuinely wanted to hurt somebody or wished bad on anybody. I don't know why things happen. And people say, well, why do bad things happen to good people? I think bad things happen to everybody. I just think when bad things happen to bad people, we don't care as much, because you're like, well, you know what I mean? I think if somebody went and murdered somebody and then they got killed in jail, I don't think people are like, ah. But if somebody is like a total upstanding citizen and they're good to everybody and they die in a car accident, the whole community is like beside themselves, right? And so I don't think it's that bad things happen to good people. I think bad things happen to everybody. And I think it's when they happen to good people, there's more of a spotlight and they stick out like a sore thumb more because we don't want good people to suffer, right? And we shouldn't want bad people. You shouldn't want anybody to suffer, to be completely honest. And I don't, I don't see any value in somebody like losing something and I'd be, oh yay, haha, you hurt me, now you're hurt. No, there's nothing in that. I try to put good into this world, and like I said, what Seamus said to me this morning, I got to go back and like listen to that because we need it. Sometimes you need a friend to go, hey, we know who you are. Forget about the people that don't. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. When we come back, we're going to stay in the same video and bring you fantasy football because we've carried you here to this last half hour of the show. So we're going to stay in the same video here, give you some fantasy football updates, and have some fun with it. So I appreciate you being here, hanging out with us where sports meets that thing called life, and I can't thank you enough for being a part of the show. So let's take a step aside and come back inside of the Cafe Kubal studios with the Fantasy Football Power Hour, talking about updated depth charts, injuries, and rookies on the rise right after this. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville beats. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. He kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. As a patient, what do we want? To be cared for, to be listened to, and to have someone walk us through the process on our path to victory. Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics does all of those things beautifully, with Dr. Mark Petropoli leading the team on 791 West Genesee Street in Skaneateles, New York, located minutes from beautiful Skaneateles Lake. Whatever your injury may be from head to toe, preventative care, rehab, physical therapy, laser therapy, and surgery are all available at Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, where they care about us They listen to us, and they understand that everyone's path to victory is a little bit different. Let them help you on yours by calling 315-685-7544 to make your appointment today. That's 315-685-7544. And find out more information at victorysportsmedicine.com. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, hanging out with you where sports meets that thing called life. Cafe Kubal on 3501 James Street, 324 West Water Street, 401 South Salina Street, all in Syracuse, inside of their double-decker cafe on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York, and on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road at Sweetheart Corners in North Syracuse. So make sure you go to any one of their locations today and let them know that Wake Up Call sent you. Fill your cup up right at Cafe Kubal. And if you're out of town, you can go to cafekubal.com. That's KUBAL.com. Go to cafekubal.com. Support local, support small business, and support Central and Upstate New York. What does Greg have to say here? So, looks like positive and fortunate news for Robinson post-gunshot. So, let's see what Greg had to say here. This popped up. So, it says, post was at Alabama very recently here. So, a shout out to Brian Robinson and to his family. And may God heal you completely and for good. And no matter what, may God heal you through himself. And may you handle well whatever comes your way. And may none of this stuff ever happen to you or any of your loved ones again. Or to any of us, for that matter. Just a horrible, horrible, horrible situation. I hope he's okay. Damian Pierce stock is on the rise. No Marlon Mack. Dude, I've had Damian Pierce's stock on the rise from the jump. Because I understand the Houston Texans more than I feel like, even though it's like, well, they're in my division. They're in the AFC South. But I can tell you, those running backs, Damian Pierce came onto that team where he has to be the starter. He has to be the starter. Marlon Mack's not going to take that job. Rex Burkhead's not going to take that job. That job has been vacated for a while now. And I said, okay, that was yesterday. I've been saying this thing for weeks, maybe months, over a month at this point. Whenever we did our running back conversation here on the show, Damian Pierce stock is rising. I feel it. I see it. I get it. I understand it. It makes sense to me. And I said it a long time ago. His stock should be rising because he's that good. Well, I mean, I should say he's good for this team. They have no choice. They have no choice. Literally no choice. And that's the reality of it all. And I'm not saying he's not talented. I'm saying if it's not Damian Pierce, who is it? Nobody. This is Damian Pierce's team to take over. And so I'm excited to see him do it. I want to take a look. We're going to go in alphabetical order through the depth chart here as we talk about fantasy football. Just some of the things, some of the changes that have been made. Darrell Williams, by the way, who was in Kansas City for a while, we can see that maybe he'll get some time behind James Conner. And we'll have to see how that shakes out. But I think James Conner is still underappreciated. I still think he's disrespected. I still think that people don't spend the time to give him his accolades or any credit, which I think is ridiculous. And Greg said, I called it a month ago and you forgot him on your rookie review. Oh, I didn't mean to forget him on my rookie Greg, see, this is the thing about Greg. Greg is like, he's like an extension, right? Because like Greg is always fact-checking. Dan, you said this on this day, at this time, in this moment, in this second. At 9:13 a.m. and 41 seconds, you said this. Well, I've talked about Damian Pierce for many, 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 many weeks. And so I'm going to tell you that if I had forgotten him anywhere, it was not on purpose by any stretch of the imagination. So didn't mean to forget him on the rookie review at all. And I've been high on Damian for a long time. Greg. So, but I'm just kidding with you, brother. Thanks for everything. So, I appreciate it. Greg came out for our draft this past Monday, brought a couple friends with him, Myron and Jeremy. Jeremy for the first time in our Wake Up Call Fantasy Football League, and Myron for 3 years in a row. 3 years in a row got the number one pick in our draft. And we pick out of a hat. It's ridiculous. He gets it every year. It's awesome. So, good for you, Myron. And big ups to you. Proud of you. And also very happy to have Greg and to have Jeremy for the first time. as well as everybody that's playing. Zach Ertz and Trey McBride. Trey McBride, the highest drafted rookie, is, how we're looking at this thing. Probably with rookie tight ends in the situation, Trey McBride's the one you got to circle right here. And so, I think Zach Ertz, he's been somewhat timeless, but Trey McBride, as we're going through the depth charts of all 32 NFL teams, Trey McBride definitely should be a guy that you're kind of just, maybe grabbing and stashing if you have to have 2 tight ends on your team, which we know Greg is highly against. And so I did make that decision before Greg said anything to me, because I couldn't, we used to have that you had to have 2 tight ends on your team. And the reason why I do that, the reason why we used to have 2 kickers, 2 defenses, 2 tight ends, is because I wanted people to have something for their bye week. I was trying to give you an insurance policy. And what I've realized over time is, to carry 2 tight ends is tough, because there's really 5, 6 you can put in that upper, well, there's a couple you can put in that upper tier, maybe 3, 4, and then there's that 5, 6 where you put them behind them, and then it's everybody else. The top 10, top 15, it's rough. It's after you get past Dalton Schultz, who I have at 6, it's kind of a toss-up at times. And so that's why we don't carry 2 tight ends anymore. So, but yeah, going through the depth charts here, some changes. Just Darrell Williams, you got to watch that, but I think James Conner's underappreciated. I think he'll be okay. A.J. Green, nobody's drafting him in any of my drafts. And Rondell Moore, he's somebody that some people go after, but I would circle Rondell Moore. Marquise Hollywood Brown, it's going to be interesting to see how much hay he can bring to fantasy with DeAndre Hopkins out. And then Trey McBride, I would just watch him behind Zach Ertz. And I hope that Ertz continues to be timeless. For the Atlanta Falcons, as we go in alphabetical order in the Fantasy Football Power, not one of, not a, but the Fantasy Football Power Hour, alphabetical order, taking a look at the depth charts, letting you know about injuries and some rookies on the rise. So I'm going to go through alphabetical depth charts of all 32 NFL teams, and while I'm doing that, I'll address injuries and I'll address, rookies on the rise and whatnot. So Cordero Patterson, he's getting drafted in all of my leagues. I'm not sold on him. He's been a receiver. He's been a running back. I don't know how I feel about this. I do see Damian Williams as somebody who may get some carries back there. But the guy that I'm really circling for the future is Tyler Algier. And I'm looking to see before season's end that rookie gets himself in the 2 deep in Atlanta if he doesn't become the starter this year. But I do think he's the future of this team, Tyler Algier. So I do like him. Drake London, behind him is Brian Edwards and Olamide Zacchaeus, who I covered in college. That is how you say his name, Olamide Zacchaeus. And he is from Virginia. So I would like to see him in the slot or somewhere, just to be involved in the offense. But, it's Drake London and Kyle Pitts. I think the stock is high on Drake London. He was the highest drafted rookie in the actual NFL draft. In real life, he was drafted 8th overall, and I actually had him going to that exact team, exact place. So I do like Drake London as one of the rookies on the rise here. And I want to see Kyle Pitts, if Drake London can finally help him get some spacing so that he could do his thing, because last season Kyle Pitts was the only option. And then with the Baltimore Ravens, obviously you got Lamar Jackson doing his thing. J.K. Dobbins, this is something to watch. He's questionable for week 1, coming back from that ACL. People are drafting J.K. Dobbins. Gus Edwards is another guy. He's lower on the depth chart here. He's returning in week 5. He's on the PUP list, the physically unable to perform. But I would say to you that the relationship that seems to have been the best prior to J.K. Dobbins was Gus Edwards with Lamar Jackson. And now that J.K. is there, you imagine J.K. to be the guy, but they brought in Mike Davis too, and this is a running offense, so I would be surprised if we only saw one back doing it. The reason why I stay away from drafting J.K. Dobbins is because Lamar Jackson is the best runner on the team, and that's not me saying he's a running back, not a quarterback. It's me stating an obvious fact. And I just feel like with Lamar running the ball, and I think them using multiple people in the backfield, that's why I get a little bit shaky about J.K. Dobbins being, one of my dominant backs on my team. And then Rashad Bateman, listen, he's got to take it over, right? James Prochet that I had at SMU, he's on the team. And Kenyon Drake, yeah, bringing up Greg saying Kenyon Drake just got signed by Baltimore. That's case in point right there. Kenyon Drake has been a journeyman, And why would they bring him in? You know what I mean? You bring in Mike Davis, who's bounced around a little bit, and you brought him in this year. You bring in Kenyon Drake now, who was let go from the Vegas Raiders, and that is case in point of why I'm not sold on the J.K. Dobbins thing, because I think that they're going to want Lamar and a stable of 2 to 3 running backs running the ball. So in fantasy, that's not good if they're sharing it like that. And he said that backfield is a mess in a running offense, and I agree. I definitely agree. I think they need to have a dominant. I would love to see Lamar and a key guy, but as long as Gus is there, there's a chance that he could take it. JK, he could take it. And you bring in Kenyon Drake. If I'm J.K. Dobbins, I'm kind of pissed off about that, especially with it being right before the season. Rashad Bateman getting back to the receivers. He's got to take over. He was a rookie last year. There's no choice. Demarcus Robinson's there from Kansas City. James Prochet that I covered at SMU is there. Devin Duvernay, he's bounced around a little bit. And he's had an opportunity. Well, he has an opportunity now to, these are a bunch of young receivers that somebody's got to step up. Rashad Bateman is the one that people have believed in. We'll see if he can have a breakout time. Last year was his rookie season, but it really didn't feel like it because he wasn't really a big part of Baltimore's team. So, I think hopefully we can see something there. But Mark Andrews, listen, Mark has been great. He's been terrific, and I give him all the credit in the world. Mark Andrews is, to me, he is my favorite tight end in the NFL. He's just an incredible guy and out there for fantasy. He's a 1,000-yard receiver on a team where people are not respecting Lamar Jackson as a passer, and he didn't really get a whole bunch of help from receivers last year. Marquise does some things, and he ended up moving on. Mark Andrews is, to me, he's the number one tight end when it all shakes out as far as numbers go. Buffalo Bills taking a look at their team as we go in alphabetical order to get you ready for this upcoming 2022-23 NFL season in the Fantasy Football Power Hour presented by the Wildcat Sports Pub, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. I'll be there tonight, so we are having Syracuse Mets Spotlight Night with General Manager Jason Smorrell. Syracuse Mets will be in the spotlight as we get set for September and the upcoming final series of the regular season for our Syracuse Mets. So definitely come out for dinner, drinks, and Mets talk as we get you ready for these upcoming series that we have with the Syracuse Mets with their general manager. You don't want to miss that at the Wildcat Sports Pub, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. That's where we do all of our Central and Upstate New York wake-up call fantasy football drafts, and so many of you have done your drafts there this year as well, and I want to thank you from Danny Tome, the owner, and myself for going out to the Wildcat and making our fantasy home your fantasy home as well. For the Buffalo Bills, obviously, Josh Allen, he's the number one to me over Pat Mahomes. I almost did it last year. I put him on my ranking as number one this year. On the depth chart I'm looking at, James Cook is number 2. I think he's going to take over as number 1. I really do. And I think, he's going to be the dominant guy. I think that we could see an end of Zach Moss there, if not Devin Singletary too. I think, Tywan Jones is still hanging on there, and hopefully things work out for all of them. I see James Cook as being the dominant back. I see him as being their everything. Whereas Singletary and Moss, they tried to make one running back out of 2, and it hasn't worked out. I think James Cook out of Georgia, who I covered en route to their national championship, I think he's going to end up being the dominant guy. And Greg said, let's go Mets. DeGrom on the bump versus the Dodgers tonight. And we're going to be talking with Jason Smorrell about all of the New York Mets that came through Syracuse, all the guys that were called up from the farm system and all the guys that had to go down to rehab and be called up again. So Jacob DeGrom is going to be part of the conversation tonight live on Wake Up Call at 6 p.m. So come out to the Wildcat in Camillus if you can, 3680 Milton Avenue in Camillus, New York. Come out and see us on site, on location at the Wildcat in the Home Depot Plaza tonight, August 31st at 6 p.m. It is Syracuse Mets Spotlight Night with General Manager Jason Smorrell. If you can make it, come out. If you're somewhere else in the country or around the world, go to youtube.com or facebook.com/wakeupcalldt where you are right now, and you'll be able to watch our live broadcast worldwide with Jason Smorrell from there. So to all my Mets fans and baseball fans alike, make sure, and Syracuse, community supporters and Central and Upstate New Yorkers and people that just love Syracuse, make sure you're watching from wherever you are tonight on youtube.com and facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, where you are right now with me and where you are every Monday through Friday from 9 to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We'll be on for 6 p.m. tonight from the Wildcat with Jason Smorrell, so can't wait to do that. Fisher's story is a great one, worth highlighting and talking about. So that's another nod to the New York Mets and the Syracuse Mets. So big shout out and thank you for that, Greg. And so Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, Isaiah McKenzie. Some people have drafted Isaiah McKenzie in my recent drafts here. Jamison Crowder's still a part of the team. Good return man for him. Kind of timeless. I covered him at Duke. He continues to hang on. He's played for every AFC East team except for the Patriots. He's been a Bill, a Dolphin, and a Jet. And so shout out to Jamison Crowder, who makes teams better. And I don't understand why they don't keep him. But, you know, on a team that's trying to vie for a Super Bowl this year, nice little wrinkle to have. Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis got to step it up. I've been talking about Gabe Davis since I covered him at UCF. And he finally caught on last year after fantasy season in the real postseason. So, you know, for those of you that play fantasy, you know that it ends, your Super Bowl is during the regular season. So by the time that Gabe Davis was getting an inordinate amount of touchdowns, just like incredible plays in a couple weeks' time, that was post fantasy football season. So hopefully he can carry that over to when it counts for you all out there. Stephon Diggs, one of the top 5, if not top 4, top 3 in the NFL right now. I think he's top 4, top 5. Dawson Knox, good to have him there, and we'll see what he can do this season. He had a nice start to the season last season. I'm looking to see him carry that on. Carolina Panthers, Baker Mayfield's the starter, and the first game is against his old team, the Cleveland Browns. Love it. I like their quarterback room because they have P.J. Walker, who I covered at Temple. Big fan of P.J. Walker. He played in the XFL as a starter. And they have Matt Corral, who I think eventually will corral the starting job, pun firmly intended. Sam Darnold, his days are probably numbered, if not over, now that they've drafted Matt Corral and Baker, and they've held on to P.J. Walker. So I feel terrible for Sam Darnold that in his rookie contract with the Jets, they traded him away when he was still in his rookie contract. Now he's on the Panthers, who bring in Baker Mayfield and draft Matt Corral. And so I think, you know, he's probably pretty much done there, which is sad, and hopefully he catches on somewhere else. I mean, listen, Seattle needs all the help they can get right now, and they could probably get Darnold relatively cheap. Christian McCaffrey, he's good when he's out there, but I don't draft him because he hasn't been out there for a while. Chuba Hubbard, like I said before, I think Chuba's going to have an opportunity to play more, and I think he'll get some, you know, red zone carries, some third down carries, some carries in general, just because of the fact that Christian McCaffrey has been injured the last couple seasons, so you don't really want to waste time. And so that's, and I don't want to say waste time. You don't want to put, I don't know why I said you don't want to waste time. You don't want to put him in a situation where you could, you know, you don't want to overuse him and overrun him is what I'm trying to say. So I think they got to be really careful about that, and hopefully they will be careful about that situation. So I think Chuba Hubbard will get more. Deontay Foreman's there, who used to be in Houston, coming from Texas. So we'll see what he can do. DJ Moore, listen, he's had a ton of different quarterbacks, and he's a 1,000-yard receiver. Him and Terry McLaurin both do that. You know, doesn't matter who their quarterback is, they get the numbers, and that's a good thing. There's no tight ends right now to write home about, so it looks like it's going to come through these wide receivers. Robbie Anderson's got to step it up. They just brought in Laviska Shenault from Jacksonville. Ironic, because the Carolina Panthers and Jacksonville Jaguars both came out in the same year in 95. Laviska Shenault has now proven that Jacksonville has gotten rid of all of their drafted rookie, young guy, you know, all their first year guys, second year, all of their young guys are gone. DJ Shark is gone. Laviska Shenault is gone, and they've gotten rid of D.D. Westbrook. All those guys are gone. All of those high draft picks, all of those first 3-round draft picks, all of those young receivers are off the team, and they've put their money and their time into the veterans that they've either brought in or really, I mean, yeah, they brought them in. I mean, there's really nobody who's been like day zero, right? Marvin Jones Jr., Laquan Treadwell, Christian Kirk, you know, Zay Jones, these are all guys that they brought in. So Jacksonville's going a different way. Baker is an upgrade, but Carolina needs to win games this year. Your boy Matt Rule is on the hot seat. Yeah, he is, you know, and it's unfortunate. I like Matt Rule. Covered him when he was at Temple, had him for a few years there. Big fan of Matt Rule. So happy when one of my guys gets an NFL job. Shout out Nate Hackett. And, I mean, Nate's had NFL jobs for a long time, but as a head coach, I mean. So, yeah, Matt Rule is on the hot seat, and Carolina's got to figure it out. I think it's unfortunate because Matt Rule came in with the Cam Newton saga. They got rid of him. They brought him back, right, when they somehow let Ron Rivera go after he was up for Coach of the Year in multiple years and he had won it. So I think the quarterback situation, the quarterback room with everything going on here, and just, I mean, Carolina, it was not a great time to come in as a coach. You had to clean out the mess before. You weren't coming into a great situation. And usually when a coach is fired or moves on, you're not coming into a great situation when you're the new coach, right? Because, well, I mean, I shouldn't say that. If a coach is fired, then the situation is probably not good. When a coach moves on, could be a really good team, and they just think there's a better opportunity. Matt Rule came in and had to clean the debris, had to clean off all the trash on his desk before he could start working on the desk. So I think Carolina is kind of a cluster, and if he ends up being let go, I don't think it's all his fault in that situation. I don't think it's ever any one person's fault when you have, so many moving parts on a team. But, ultimately, I think that, Matt Rule, I just hoping that things get together here. I'm hoping they can win a bunch of games, but you're with the Bucks and the Falcons are getting better. The Saints are haphazard right now, so I think that Carolina can maybe get above them. But the Saints do have a bunch of talent despite the fact that they're, not looking great on paper, and their quarterback situation is murky as well. So I'm hoping for you, Matt Rule. Sending you my love, brother, to you and the family. God bless. The Carolina Panthers, DJ Moore, they got Icky now, Ekwonu from NC State, and obviously I cover NC State. He's their left tackle. So whoever the quarterback is now, hopefully he can be protected, which would be a big thing. Chicago, taking a look at them. Justin Fields, I like him. A lot of people are not drafting Justin Fields. I drafted him as my backup quarterback. The man is scrappy. He can run around and create for himself, which is what I like. I'm not saying he's Pat Mahomes, but he has the similarity of like the fact that he's going to run around and scramble and try to get something. So Khalil Herbert, who came from Virginia, covered him there too. I mean, they don't have Tariq Cohen anymore. David Montgomery is the starter. I think David Montgomery's stock is on the rise a little bit here with Justin Fields. And Khalil Herbert is a question mark right now. He's a deep sleeper, but just kind of watch that. And then Darnell Mooney, he's got to take over, right? Velus Jones Jr., Equanimeous St. Brown, and N'Keal Harry. There's a reason why Bill Belichick and the Patriots don't draft skill players high. They drafted Sony Michel in the first round. He didn't work out. They drafted N'Keal Harry in the first round. He got injured a lot. He didn't work out. And now the Bears have Tajay Sharp, who was originally in Tennessee. They have Dante Pettis. They have N'Keal Harry, who was with the Patriots. They have Equanimeous St. Brown. You got a bunch. Byron Pringle, who's with Kansas City last year. So this is Darnell Mooney's team. I covered Tulane. I'm hoping he takes over. He had some good moments. Let's hope. I think that Justin Fields can open him up a little bit here, and I think he'll help out Cole Kmet as well, speaking of Chicago and Justin Fields. The next team up here, Cincinnati. Joe Burrow, obviously, he's your guy. I've drafted him pretty late, and I've been happy for that. Now, he's having an appendix issue, so hopefully everything will be okay with him in that respect, and we'll be able to see him for week 1. God bless, more than anything else, that people stay healthy, including my little sister, Fran. Love you, kid. So, Joe Mixon, he's definitely come up my draft board, finally. I wasn't as high on him as other people were in recent years. Chris Evans is coming up here. The young running back, people have some thoughts with him, Samaje Perine. But, I think this is Joe Mixon's team. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, I like them both. I'm not sold on Tyler Boyd, but I do think Joe Burrow. I think the reason why people are so high on the receivers in the Cincinnati situation is because their quarterback is Joe Burrow. And spreading the ball out, people are thinking at some point it's going to get to Tyler Boyd. I watched the labrum injury, that shoulder injury to T. Higgins makes him questionable. And Jamar Chase, I still think, is the dominant guy. Although I don't want to see T. Higgins be rendered kind of, a fantasy football dud because Jamar Chase is there. The one season that him and Joe Burrow had, when Joe Burrow played most of his rookie season, we got to see him and T. Higgins link up, and it was great because they were against each other in the College Football Playoff National Championship. T was on Clemson, and Joe was on LSU when obviously LSU won the championship. So, with Ed Ogeron, who has a connection to Syracuse. Shout out Coach O. But T. Higgins, to me, I don't want to see him disappear just because Jamar Chase is there. I like them both, but I think it's, listen, everybody's chasing Chase at this point. Except for like Cooper Kupp and Justin Jefferson, arguably. But in the NFL. So I do like T. Higgins, but I think his stock drops a little bit. Hayden Hurst is on his third team, and I just don't think that that's working out for him by any stretch of the imagination. Cleveland Browns here in the Fantasy Football Power Hour, giving you my take on every team, going alphabetical order as you get ready for the season. Your starting quarterback is Jacoby Brissett, and Josh Dobbs is your backup. Listen, Cleveland botched this thing, as they typically have done since they returned in 1999. When they returned in 99, I don't think the brain did, because I'm still waiting for a return of the Cleveland Browns. Their best quarterback was Kelly Holcomb. That's the guy that brought them to the postseason world. Outside of that, I don't care what Cleveland Browns now, they haven't been a winning program, and except for Kelly Holcomb. And I remember that muddy day where he was just throwing that ball, doing everything he could to try and get them in the playoffs. Jacoby Brissett, I covered him at NC State. I like Jacoby. I think he can get them, maybe the team can get 7-8 wins if he ends up being there. But, you're talking 11 weeks. Deshaun Watson's going to be gone. By the time he comes back, they have 6 games. And like I said before, they must really have not wanted Baker Mayfield to put themselves in a situation where they could lose Deshaun. They lost him for 6. Now it's 11, and there's money that's got to be spent. This was a really crappy situation. Ultimately, Deshaun makes out. If you're a player, you want to play, but ultimately Deshaun makes out. He got a ton of money, hefty contract, and Cleveland has to pay more than he does, right? Cleveland has to, and I'm not talking about monetary, he had to pay $5 million, but Cleveland is paying because they don't have their quarterback for 11 weeks, and they got rid of their starting quarterback that they drafted high in Baker Mayfield. So another stupid decision by Cleveland. You keep Baker as an insurance policy, but the way that they handled that, they botched it, like I said. So now you have Jacoby, and we'll see what they could do. I think they're going to be running the ball a lot with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Don't be surprised if Kareem Hunt gets traded at some point during the season, if that gets murky. It seems, allegedly, he's not been happy there. I don't know why, because arguably, at times, they've been the best 1-2 punch backfield in the entire NFL of 32 NFL franchises. So, I don't know why Kareem Hunt wouldn't like being there with Nick Chubb, especially with the fact that Cleveland took a chance on him when he was in a situation he put himself in the NFL where he might have potentially never played again. So I don't really understand why you'd be knocking them. Jerome Ford's there, though. I covered Jerome Ford. He went to Alabama. I covered him when he transferred to Cincinnati. Good running back, powerful guy. Like to see him in the open field. So, they're rich. They have Dearness Johnson back there, too. I wouldn't be surprised if they shed Kareem Hunt at some point during the season, if the draft makes sense, and they move Dearness Johnson or Jerome Ford to number 2. Amari Cooper, we'll see. You got a quarterback situation with Jacoby Brissett. A lot better if he had Deshaun Watson back there. We'll see. I don't know why Amari Cooper would want to leave Dallas. He had signed a 5-year deal, but there's really no other household name, so maybe he just wanted to be the guy. I think that's something from the outside looking in that Jarvis Landry thought like, hey, I'm going to be the guy, and it's like, yeah, that's great, but it didn't ever work out. So I don't know if this is going to really work out for Amari. David Njoku is high on people's lists again. I don't know why, because he's definitely fallen down coming out of Miami and hasn't been what I hoped he was going to be in the NFL. Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott, Tony Pollard I think is eventually going to take it from Zeke. I think we're going to see more of 50-50 ball at times, maybe 60-40, 70-30, but I wouldn't be surprised if Tony Pollard ends up taking over. CeeDee Lamb, excited. Michael Gallup's on his last leg here. He's got to show it. Jalen Tolbert, some people are drafting him, hoping that he is going to maybe take over the second spot. James Washington is there now too. Dalton Schultz has shown up. I like him as a top 6 tight end in the NFL. Denver Broncos, led by my guy Nate Hackett in their first season together. They're going to feel different. I think this is a playoff caliber team. Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy, my stock's high on them, and a lot of you have drafted them. KJ Hamler is another guy to watch as a sleeper, especially if you have a flex and you need somebody else. I do like him, and he's a young receiver in the NFL, like a Judy and a Sutton. Javonte Williams, excited about him. Melvin Gordon, don't know how much he's going to get. I like that Mike Boone's there. Covered him, pardon me, at Cincinnati. And he spent some time with the Minnesota Vikings when he came into the NFL. And Russ the Bus, I think, is going to open up this offense and hopefully make it explosive for the first time in a long time. If you think about it, the Denver Broncos have had 3 lightning rods at quarterback. Russell Wilson, Peyton Manning, and Tim Tebow within the last, decade? So that's a pretty cool thing to talk about. Detroit, Jared Goff, I'm not sold on it. DeAndre Swift, if he stays healthy, he's a top 10 running back, but he's got to stay healthy. I'm on Ross St. Brown, DJ Shark, Josh Reynolds. Somebody's got to show up and show out here. Jamison Williams, we'll see when he can come back from that ACL. So we'll see if we can get him on the field sooner than later. If we can, and Jared Goff can hit that speed in the open field, that's a good thing. But I think DeAndre Swift is the guy you look to right now. TJ Hawkinson is a question mark for me because I don't know if this Jared Goff offense is going to really work for anybody outside of running the ball at the moment. And then Green Bay Packers, Aaron Rodgers, he's a diva. I don't like the way he talks to his team. I'm not happy. If I'm Sammy Watkins, Randall Cobb, Christian Watson, Amari Rodgers, Alan Lazard, I'm not cool with this. Lazard is the number one guy. From the best story of this team is he went from Jacksonville practice squad to number one receiver for the Green Bay Packers. I'm excited about it. And at the same time, Aaron Rodgers is talented, but he's a diva. And so I don't know what that's going to do. I feel like he's hurting this team more than he's helping this team monetarily and overall by his attitude and his words. So, the man needs to kind of check himself at the door because I'm not a fan of the Mariah Carey ways where it's like, I know I can sing, but, it's like I know I can sing so I can treat people however I want. Well, remember when Mariah Carey tried to lip sync and screw up everything in New Year's and then blamed it on everybody else? That's how this feels right now. So, Aaron Rodgers, I don't think you're ever going to win another Super Bowl in Green Bay, and I think that has something to do with you and the fact that you cost way too much money. So, I like Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon, and the stock is higher on A.J. Dillon. I like that some of y'all have started to believe in him, as I have always believed in him, coming from Boston College and being under Steve Adazio, one of my favorite coaches. Alan Lazard, I hope it works out. I hope it works out for Christian Watson and the crew. Sammy Watkins might have walked into a bad situation here, so maybe he can get out of it. Houston, I like Davis Mills. I thought he was a steal. I've said that before, as a third-round quarterback being drafted out of Stanford, so I'm excited to see what he can do here. Dameon Pierce might be the best thing on the Houston Texans this year. I've been high on him for weeks now, as I told you. Brandon Cooks, if anybody's going to get it done, I put it in him at receiver, but I'm not a big fan. I'm a fan of Dameon Pierce. I think he's going to be one of the rookies on the rise and a potential fantasy stud this season because, again, who else is going to run the ball? Indy, hopefully Matt Ryan's going to open up the offense. They got Nick Foles there as well. 2 guys that are seasoned and know how to win. Michael and have both been to the Super Bowl. Nick Foles winning one. Michael Pittman Jr., I think his stock rises because of this. We'll see what Paris Campbell can do. I'm excited about Alec Pierce, my guy out of Cincinnati. Jonathan Taylor, I want to see this open up. He had a huge season last year. It's hard to do that 2 seasons in a row. He is the number 1 overall draft pick, in my opinion, for fantasy. And, can he get 18 touchdowns? Can he get the yardage that he got last year? Catching the ball and running the ball, we'll see. But he's got a better quarterback situation now. Nyheim Hines, I covered him in college at NC State. I like him, but it's hard for me to put fantasy value on him. He's a true flex because he's like an H-back, tight end, wide receiver, running back, whatever the heck you want to call him. But the consistency is a question to me. I think Mo Alley Cox stock rises a little bit. I think Michael Pittman might have a breakout year with Matty Ryan, so I'm excited to see that. Jacksonville Jaguars, my team, James Robinson and Travis Etienne. I like them both. I think they both should play. James is coming off of an Achilles injury. Etienne's coming off of an ACL injury. And they drafted Snoop Connor, who's in the 3 deep here. So, we might see a little bit of Snoop in the beginning, but I think this could be one of the best 1-2 punches in the NFL if Doug Peterson and the crew are smart enough to use them both, which I hope they are, because I think if they use one, it's a mistake. Trevor Lawrence, I think, is going to have a better year this year. I think he might turn out being one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL as time goes by and in the current NFL. Christian Kirk, I like Marvin Jones because I like the relationship that he's built with Trevor Lawrence. Christian Kirk, they paid him a lot of money. So we'll see how he does here, if he can open it up. Hopefully he can make it explosive. Dan Arnold and Evan Engram are there. I don't see a ton of value in the tight end at the moment, but I'm being hopeful that it's going to work out. And then, having the guys that they got on the offensive line, this might be the best offensive line they've had in a while, and it's built some depth, which I'm hoping continues. And some of that depth has gone away, but hopefully they'll keep it. But I do like the running back situation, and I like Trevor Lawrence. And so I'm excited about that. And this is Travis Etienne's rookie year because he didn't get to play as a rookie, so I'm considering this his rookie season. So and now we have the 53-man roster that Jacksonville has just cut it down to. That's actually just been released. So Trevor Lawrence and C.J. Beathard are the only two on the roster. James Robinson, Travis Etienne, and Snoop Carter are the only running backs on the roster. Christian Kirk, Marvin Jones Jr., Zay Jones, Jamal Agnew, who's great in return game, and Tim Jones, which means they parted ways again with Laquad Treadwell for like the third time, I think it is. Tight ends, they carry 4. Evan Engram, Chris Manhertz, Dan Arnold, and Luke Farrell, who they drafted last year in the second round. And then looking at offensive linemen, they have kept Cam Robinson, Ben Barch, Luke Fortner, who they just drafted, Brandon Sheriff, who they traded for, Juwan Taylor, who's on his last leg there, in my opinion. And Luke Farrell, I think, was drafted in the third round. This is his second season. Walker Little still there. He's a good fill-in. They drafted him last year. Tyler Shatley, Will Richardson Jr. have been with the team. And Cole Van Lanen, they went out and got him. So they kept 9 offensive linemen. And then looking at their defensive ends and linebackers, Josh Allen, Trayvon Walker, number 1 overall pick. Kaylavon Chasen, who is a multiple guy, Deshaun Dixon, and Jameer Jones are all there as ends. Nose tackles, they have Devon Hamilton. So that's interesting. True defensive ends, they have Roy Robertson Harris, who I covered in college. Foley Fatukasi, one of my favorite names there. He's brought onto the team. Arden Key was brought in. Dewan Smoot still there. Adam Gotsis is back. I like Adam Gotsis. He's cool. Australian, fun guy. Linebackers, Foy Oliokun, who they just brought in. Devin Lloyd and Chad Muma, who's come up. Shaquille Quarterman, who I covered in college out of Miami. Corners, Jacksonville kept 7. Shaquille Griffin, Tyson Campbell, Darius Williams, Trey Herndon. I like him. Chris Claybrooks, like him too. Monteric Brown, who they just drafted. And Josh Thompson, who they brought in. He's a rookie. Safeties, Rashawn Jenkins, my guy Andre Sisco from Syracuse is still there, and then Daniel Thomas and Andrew Wingard look for Sisco to start this year. And then kicker James McCourt, who's a rookie, and they have Jake Verity, who they just brought in. Logan Cook, still their punter, long snapper. Ross Matisic is on the team. So that's what Jacksonville looks like in their 53-man rosters, as teams had to get it down to it. My official guy who is sitting in my producer chair, my guy in the chair, Ross Turetsky, sent that over to me. So shout out to Ross and much love for that. I see some of the notes that came in here. Baker got the Browns to the playoffs. I did stay, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, Baker, but, I mean, to me, Kelly Holcomb was the guy where it really looked like it was going somewhere. Some of these names on the tight end list are there due to the lack of depth at the position offensively for fantasy purposes. And when do you anticipate Robinson to see regular season reps? I mean, I think once they feel that Robinson's healthy enough to go, coming off of that Achilles, I think as soon as he's good enough to go, you put him out there. I don't think it's 100% Travis Etienne. I think that would be a really stupid move by Jacksonville. And he's coming off of a torn ACL, so I wouldn't be giving him all the carries in general just to protect his body. James Robinson is a 1,000-yard undrafted rookie. You know what I mean? Out of Illinois State. Why would you not have him on the field? You got 2 running backs. Use them. I think James Robinson can start in the NFL, and I think he needs to be out there. And I think between the tackles for him and then have Travis Etienne, be that decoy catch out of the backfield, that could be good too. I think that's how they should work it. Kansas City, to get back to our alphabetical depth chart kind of analysis here, and Pat Mahomes obviously speaks for himself. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he's dropping in my depth here. They brought in Ronald Jones II. Don't be surprised if you see him here for Kansas City. They got rid of the 2 Williamses, Damian and Darrell, and they still, they got Jerick McKinnon there, but, I don't trust in that. So I'm not a big fan of that. Juju, we'll see. Marquez and Juju have never shown that they're number ones. McCole Hardman hasn't shown that he's a number one. Sky Moore has been brought in from Western Michigan to give them some help now with Tyreek Hill being gone. So we'll see. Travis Kelce's the best receiver on the team right now. Is that good enough to open up and create some opportunities for Juju if people are cheating toward Travis? And Marquez Valdez-Scantling out of South Florida, who I covered, we'll see if he can get it going here. I think Kansas City could be on the rise with some of these guys that are trying to, make a name for themselves. But, we'll see what works out. The Sammy Watkins thing kind of worked at times, but never truly did. Vegas Raiders, I think they're totally underappreciated. You got Derek Carr, Josh Jacobs, you got rookie running back who was in the backfield with the champion Georgia Bulldogs. He was there with James Cook, Zamir White, and I think that's a nice little sneaky thing. Good enough for them to let go of Kenyon Drake. You got Hunter Renfrow, Devontae Adams, and Darren Waller. This is a team set up to make the playoffs, and this is a team to give you some fantasy goodness because Derek Carr can spread the ball out. Justin Herbert, the Chargers, to get to them. Austin Eckler, I think we're going to see Isaiah Spiller get some time out there as a rookie between the tackles. Now he did have an ankle sprain, so just watch that. And beyond that, I think Keenan Allen and Mike Williams are going to have some good seasons. Justin Herbert's thrown to them, and like I said, arguably the best ball in the NFL being thrown. The Los Angeles Rams coming back, I think they got a good shot at going back to the Super Bowl, which is not an easy thing to do or say about a team. Matty Stafford, excited to see him. My guy Bryce Perkins is back at quarterback, Virginia. There, John Walford, I covered him, and I covered John Walford at Wake Forest. So both those guys backing up Matty Stafford, who's questionable for that first game of the season for the entire NFL, Thursday, September 8th, against the Bills. So just watch that. We could see Bryce Perkins out there if Matty's not ready to go. Cam Akers and Darrell Henderson, they're still trying to figure out who the starter is. Jake Funk, who they drafted, and he had to come off injury. We'll see with that. But Cooper Kupp, he instead of Odell Beckham, he's now got Allen Robinson the second. That'll help him out. Van Jefferson will probably get some hay. And Cooper Kupp's proven when they double team him, he still gets it done. I mean, that's why he's the best in the NFL right now. Tyler Higbee, give him some love as well. Greg said, Spiller's number 4 on the depth chart. Take it as you will. Yeah, I made mention about guys on the depth chart before that I don't agree. Where they are is where they're going to be. And that's been proven by a bunch of guys over these last couple seasons where I've told you where they are. And I said, don't anticipate. I think Isaiah Spiller will eventually be the second guy to Austin Eckler. Tua, I think he gets a bad rap. Teddy Bridgewater's behind him, and I think that's some good help for them. And Chase Edmonds, Raheem Mostert, Myles Gaskin, Salvin Ahmed, I don't like this situation because I think they're all going to be used at some point. I do like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle because they're fast, and Tua's just got to make sure he gets the ball out to him. I think that Jalen Waddle still has a good season with Tyreek Hill there, and I think Tyreek has a good season. And Mike Gesicki, he's a good safety blanket for Tua, and I think he's still an underappreciated tight end in the NFL. Minnesota Vikings, Kirk Cousins, he's above the equator line to me. He's better than just being a run-of-the-mill guy. And, it's like everybody gives respect to Justin Jefferson, and some people give respect to Adam Thielen. I think he should get more than he has. But it's like if you give them respect, someone's throwing them the ball. And Delvin Cook, this is a good team. This is a potential playoff team as well, as I think that Green Bay might struggle a little bit, so Minnesota should take advantage. And I think Detroit's going to struggle overall, and Chicago I'm not sold on. So I think Minnesota's got a good shot here. The Patriots, Mac Jones, I don't know why people are ripping on him so much. Damian Harris, second last year in the NFL, only to Jonathan Taylor with 15 rushing touchdowns. So I'm not worried about Ramondre Stevenson. I think they'll both be used, but I think Damian Harris is still the dominant guy. And besides that, I think Hunter Henry's obviously taken over when they brought in him and Jonnu Smith. Devontae Parker, Jacoby Myers, I don't like any of that situation. I know they got to throw to somebody, so I know Myers can be a sleeper for you, or Devontae Parker coming from Miami. But the Patriots, I look more to Hunter Henry, Damian Harris, and maybe a little bit of Ramondre Stevenson for fantasy value. The New Orleans Saints going into the season, their quarterback situation is weird. I think it's more of Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram II. Ingram's really not getting drafted at all. I think people are waiting to see what he's going to do. But Kamara has the value. Michael Thomas, who the heck knows what's going on with him from week to week. I looked for Chris Olave to eventually be the number one guy, so I'm paying attention to that. And I think Jarvis Landry has some value. And, Taysom Hill's a tight end now, so we'll see how that works out, or if that's just a decoy or just a way to keep them all on the team. The New York Giants, Daniel Jones, they didn't pick up the option. Saquon Barkley, DeAndre Smith, my dude, is overseeing him right now. If anybody's going to help Saquon, I believe in DeAndre because he makes non-household names household names. So Saquon is a household name that people are just hoping stays healthy and has some protection with the offensive line, who just added my dude Evan Neal that I covered at Alabama. So Kenny Galladay, Kadarius Toney, Wendell Robinson. They got some young guys here. Sterling Shepard's hanging around. Darius Slayton, another young guy. You know, I think if Kadarius and Kenny Galladay can stay healthy and Daniel Jones can get some protection, maybe they have some value for you. But I think the value's in Saquon, who rises up some lists, and I think that he should, even though the offense hasn't been great. You know, for the Jets, Zach Wilson, this is a situation with his meniscus. God willing, he's okay. If not, it's Joe Flacco's team. Mike White had some good things, but this brings me even more to the Jets are going to run the ball. Breece Hall and Michael Carter both have value. If you don't think Michael Carter does, shame on you. He's coming off a rookie year where he didn't play the full year because he was injured at times. I think Garrett Wilson has a shot to be the number one guy as a rookie. Drafted him in the top 10. And I like Elijah Moore as a second-year player for the Jets. So I really, with the Jets, I like the youth more than anything else on their team. Jalen Hurts with Philadelphia, I think he's got better fantasy value than he gets credit for. I think the Kenneth Gainwell, Boston Scott, Miles Sanders, that's a weird situation to be in. I'm not really sold on that for fantasy. I think Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown help each other out as two potential number one guys, and I think, you know, Dallas Goedert still has some value as a top 10, top 12 tight end in the NFL, but I definitely think Devontae and A.J. Brown are going to make some hay there. Pittsburgh Steelers, it's Mitch Trubisky. I think by the end of the season, we'll see Kenny Pickett take over there. Najee Harris has a ton of value, a little bit to Benny Snell, but really, I mean, Najee's numbers are insane, and I'll give Greg credit for that because I said something about I wasn't as sold on Najee, and then I went and looked at his numbers, and I was like, wow, shame on me. You know, obviously I should have looked at that before I opened my mouth. So Najee Harris, I've been drafting him. I like him. I think Deontay Johnson will have a good year. I think Chase Claypool has a chance to be a good flex for you, and I think George Pickens might get some moves in there. I think Pat Freiermuth, he's in a lot of drafts. He's falling to me as my second tight end. Almost nobody's drafting him. I think that's a mistake. I think he's a good sleeper tight end. And I think for San Fran, they kept Jimmy, and they have Trey Lance here. So he could still be traded. I wouldn't be surprised if Jimmy goes to another team this year, maybe Seattle, maybe to the Detroit Lions. But, you know, they're putting a lot of eggs in the basket of Trey Lance. I think Debo has the most value. I'm not sold on Brandon Ayuk. I think George Kittle's numbers are down. I think Debo's numbers are good just because of the fact that he could be a running back or a wide receiver, to be honest. I'm not really sold on a lot in San Fran with the offense right now. And yeah, good stuff for Najee Harris, man. He's just a really awesome player. Seattle Seahawks, this is a cluster, you know what. I think they're going to run the ball. Rashad Penny, I mean, people are high on him right now. They drafted him to Seattle, and they've had him there since they brought him in. I still think it's going to be Kenneth Walker, the third's team, even though he's a rookie. One of the top two guys in yardage gained in college football last year, and covered him at Wake Forest. He went off to Michigan State. I think the value of Lockett and DK Metcalf go down. I think everything's a question mark on Seattle right now, but I think eventually Kenneth Walker will get some value here, and I think Rashad Penny will be the second running back in Seattle. And then with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Tom Brady's back. You know, I think Kyle Trask is the potential future of this team. Leonard Fournette, he's going to have the ball, but I don't think it's just going to be him. I think Rachaad White, the rookie, is going to get some value here. He's a nice deep draft pick. I picked him up as like my last running back in certain situations, so don't forget his name. I think I picked him up in maybe one other person in one of our drafts, and I think he has more value than he's getting credit for. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, 1-2 punch. Russell Gage is there now. Julio Jones is there now. Don't be surprised if he gets a few good games like Antonio Brown did, but it's still Evans and Godwin to me. And Cam Brate, I mean, who's standing in his way, really, right? You know, Kyle Rudolph's in there now, but I think it's Cameron Brate. And who would have thunk of Rob Gronkowski, O.J. Howard, and Cameron Brate that this would be Brate's team? But don't be surprised, weeks 4 through 7, pay attention, somewhere in that window if Rob Gronkowski decides to unretire again after not having to go through camp and the heat of it. Ryan Tannehill, Tennessee Titans, he's got value, but I think he dips a little bit this year. I think we'll see Malik Willis, even if it's just in some packages. Dontrell Hilliard's the future, but Derrick Henry, as long as he's healthy, is the guy. I think Treylon Burks takes over as the number one. Robert Woods is a question mark to me here. He only really fit with the Rams. I don't know if he fits here. And Austin Hooper, I would stay away from just because, I mean, he's talented, but this is his third team, and I'm kind of not feeling it for Austin Hooper right now. And then for the Washington Commanders, Taylor Heineke and Sam Howell might end up playing quarterback at some point this year because Carson Wentz is your starter. God willing, he stays healthy. I think the Seahawks are punting on the season. So, yeah, I do think that too, and that's ridiculous for their fans. So, Antonio Gibson is the guy to me. I don't know why people don't give Antonio Gibson credit. Look at his numbers. He's young. He's from Memphis. The Memphis running backs know how to do it. That came from Mike Norvell. I think Terry McLaurin, like DJ Moore, doesn't matter who's throwing to him. He's a 1,000-yard guy. He's a young guy. He's been through seasons of 3 or 4 quarterbacks on average, and he's still a 1,000-yard receiver, which shows that everybody's got a good relationship with him, which is good. Speaks to his play. And Jahan Dotson, the rookie out of Penn State, I think he has some sneaky value for you there as well. So that's my rundown of the rookies on the rise. It's my rundown of the injuries. It's my rundown of the entire NFL and the current depth chart situation here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life in the Fantasy Football Power Hour. And we did give you that hour as we stayed with you for an extended period of time. I want to thank you for listening and watching every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Facebook.com, YouTube.com, as well as MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT, as well as on WakeUpCallDT.com and Facebook.com/LiveNowDT. So big shout out to everybody everywhere around the world that's paying attention. And you can find us on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, MixLR, as well as Player FM, Podbean, Podvine, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on any one of these outlets, or one word, Wake Up Call DT, and you'll find me there. Big shout out to our partners, Cafe Kubal, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, and as well as PB&J's Lunchbox. Big thanks to Witty Wicks, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Avicoli's, Mon Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Pizza Man, Honda City of Liverpool, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Victory Sports Medicine, Orthopedics, and Mother's Cupboard. And, of course, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your LeMoyne College Dolphins. It is Fins Up every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, as we just brought you bonus coverage of AD and DT. Dolphin time, as you know, is every single Wednesday here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora at 9 a.m. So set your Wednesdays, 9 a.m. for Wake Up Call, Dolphin, Dive, and AD and DT. AD and DT every first and third Wednesday of each month, or every odd week. Every even week we have the Dolphin Dive, second and fourth Wednesday of each month, with coaches, student athletes, as well, pardon me, administration, alumni, and future Dolphins. You can get all of our content by going to the LeMoyne tab on wakeupcalldt.com, subscribing to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, and for more information, go to LeMoyneDolphins.com. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is also the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Marywood University Pacers. It is Pacer Pride every single Friday on the broadcast, right around 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, featuring student athletes, administration, and coaches. Make sure you don't miss a moment of the Marywood University Pacers here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora by going to the Marywood tab on wakeupcalldt.com and subscribing to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. For more information, go to marywoodpacers.com. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are also exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and very much appreciate having them here with us every single month. We have a massive, massive library of new broadcasts coming up with you. The Bobcat Buzz is going to keep you busy, and you're going to be buzzing about the Bobcats for weeks to come, as we have numerous women's and men's soccer specials coming up to you. We're going to start releasing them tomorrow. So right to begin September, you'll have more Bobcat Buzz for you, and you definitely want to make sure you check those out. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats are on the BSCSYR tab on wakeupcalldt.com. Subscribe to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. And for more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com. With that being said, I want to thank you for being a part of the show today, as we gave you 2.5 hours, and we like to under-promise, over-deliver. Thanks to Bob Beretta for a bonus, speaking of under-promise, over-deliver, a bonus AD&DT coming in our LeMoyne exclusive multimedia marketing partnership. Seamus Shanley, changing my life and spreading positivity. Shout out to him and Alyssa. God bless you to a lifetime of happiness. Hopefully a wonderful, wonderful family filled with beautiful, healthy children and a fantastic life as you bond together and become one. I shout you out and I send you my love. So love to you, Seamus, love to you, Alyssa, and to the entire Shanley family, and Alyssa to your family as well. God bless you all, and may the Lord look kindly upon you all the days of your life and beyond. And a big thanks to the Wildcat Sports Pub for the Fantasy Football Power Hour. Thank you for being with us on Facebook at WakeUpCallDT, Twitter at CallDT, and Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. If you're not, click like, click follow. Do that here this morning so you never miss anything again. We'll see you tonight at the Wildcat for the Syracuse Mets Spotlight special that we have. It's Spotlight Night with the Syracuse Mets General Manager Jason Smorl. Ton of things to get to as we preview the upcoming final series of the regular season in September for the Mets. So we'll get you ready for the upcoming home series, and of course we'll talk about all the fantastic players that have been called up to the major leagues, to the New York Mets, that have come through the team this year alone, including my guy Jacob deGrom. So a lot of great stuff coming up. In the meantime,